Welcome everyone to Faded Connections episode 12. I'm sitting here with BalorMage, who is hosting the whole thing with me, and we're joined by the one and only Karvarousku, longtime player, and SteelMage, who is recently having a lot of success because he can finally stream after being a very known name in the PoE racing scene. Hi guys.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited.
Hello.
Yeah, very much so. There was a lot of information coming out about Path of Exile synthesis. We had the announcement. It's been more than 10 days ago. And then Chris Wilson was also on the Bay Class podcast today, where we got a little bit more details about how the mechanic is exactly going to work out.
And a few little spoilers for the future.
Right. So I'd say we start with what everyone's been up to, right? That's what we usually do. So I heard, I've seen you actually did it. You pulled it off, Steel. You did the Scuffed Meaty challenge. You killed Elder on a cleave juggernaut, was it? Or something?
By the skin of my teeth.
Talk about how bad that was for just a minute.
Well, the damage. So obviously, I PoB, right? PoB. I live in PoB. It looked good on paper, and the defenses were there, but actually getting that 700k shaper DPS onto the boss is so much harder than you. It's so hard, right? So the first phase went smooth enough, but as the poopers kept coming out, and I couldn't do anything about that really, because I don't know how to use VAR War Chief. I looked on the VOD and my chat's just spamming, use your VAR Chief. But because I wasn't using my VAR War Chief because I was so nervous, the poopers just kept coming out, and I just couldn't get ground to actually hit the bosses, right? So it was like by the skin of my teeth, I'm like leaping around trying to find, it's like, lava on the floor kind of situation, but I barely managed to pull it off. Yeah.
Well,
that whole challenge looked so bad.
Your DPS uptime was pretty bad. Whenever you get to hit something, they just died.
Yeah,
You just meld them through Shaper and Elder when you get to hit it. Yeah.
It's technically a 700,000 DPS, but if you go damage per minute, it drops a lot.
Was that with like flasks and whatnot? I don't remember. I've checked the kill, but I don't know about your PoP settings. So that 700k was it with like all the flasks up and War Chief down, War Chief down, and Frenzy charges and everything?
Nah, I wasn't. No Frenzy, no VAR War Chief. Not like I would use the VAR War Chief anyway, apparently. But it was with flasks up, which like doubles the damage, right? So, but I was using an overflowing chalice. I mean that OP flask.
Is it really? Like, I've seen people use it, but on paper or like when you look at it intuitively as a player who's not super endgame focused, it just always looked a little bit bad to me. Giving up a whole flask slot, all these potential status removes and stuff.
Did you make it as a Pathfinder or a Scion Pathfinder?
No, it was a jug.
I cannot imagine using that flask on anything that wasn't a Pathfinder. Why?
Basically, well, I wouldn't use it on a Pathfinder anyway, by the way, because the whole point is additional flask sustain, and you don't really need that on a Pathfinder, right? But it was good on this specific case because I wanted to use a sulfur anyway, right? And if you look at, just as a sulfur flask, it's good, right? Like it's a sulfur flask. So the unique effect of that increases the uptime on all my other flasks. So it wasn't as bad uptime on the flasks as you would think. Like I needed when I needed the flasks, they were up, and when they were down, I was probably about 2 seconds away from logging out, right? And it ended up all right.
Yeah, I've only ever used that on Pathfinders for when I'm after like 100% uptime on like a Xerfes cheese build or something like that. Like that's the only time I've ever used that flask.
Yeah, when you did the first attempt without it, you were like literally running with zero life flash charges all the time, and just like running with like half the HP. Like anything that hits you, you're just gonna die. then you somehow manage to get another flask or logout or something, and then like, fuck it, let's just get a second life flask, and then you just decided to not take it, and you went for the chalice. I mean, it helped with the damage uptime, and it gives you damage too, which is not bad.
Yeah, I didn't have ults to roll another life flask. That might have influenced my decision to use the flask.
You know, you had like 300 something augments that you can just use the vendor to trade it up, right?
Yeah, but my orcs.
Oh god. Yeah, so for anyone who was unaware, I forgot to fill that in, guys. The Quinn Scuffed Melee challenge is where basically the big guy streamer dude from who came over from Diablo, Quinn69, called out the challenge to beat Uber Elder solo self-found hardcore only on a melee skill that requires you to name lock and is not Blade Flurry, Val Double Strike, or Molten Strike, if I recall correctly. Something like that.
So any of the good ones.
And as far as I know, there's only been a handful of people who've done it so far. Goratha did it once or twice, you know? And yeah.
Did he do it again?
I don't know. He said he was gonna do it a second time. That's why
because he was banned basically for cheating. So did he actually make second character to do it?
Oh wait, you have to explain that. I didn't follow that.
Wait, he cheated on his own
he got gear from other character that wasn't following the rules, so he was banned. Like his kill was invalidated because of that. The lightning strike kill.
Broke his own rules in his own league.
No, that wasn't not Quinn. That was Koratha. I don't know. If
that was Koratha. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I don't think Quinn has done it. Right?
Quinn has been super close to doing it twice. He's killed it on 2 of his characters on standard, deathless, but because he kept waiting until he had his perfect checklist of gear,
and
so
he keeps
kept dying,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like the day before he was going to attempt it. So Uber Elder Tamara debated in chat.
The last strip I saw was really disheartening. He basically ported back into a Forge of the Phoenix map and was surrounded by a blue pack otherworldly mobs. And then the moment he moved, he got just blown up by all of them. That looked bad.
They hurt, dude.
Yeah. Apparently it was his chat was telling him to pick up a Jack in the Box and stash it or something, because chat thought, and they were wrong. They're wrong, that, or at least correct me if I'm right here, that you can't pull a Tomb Fist from Jack in the Box. So that's why he died, because chat was telling him to pick up the Jack in the Box to get the Tomb Fist from the Jack in the Box, which you can't even get. So
oh god.
I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm pretty sure you can't get that.
I'm pretty sure the chat actually knew it, but they just made him do it, because why not?
That makes sense.
mm-hmm.
I know, I would have told him to do it.
So you would have expected him to die to the otherworldly monsters reporting back in.
I'd have definitely been on chat's side. This is a healthy lesson in why we don't listen to chat all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite often they know full well it's wrong, and they're just trying to get you to do something stupid.
Oh, dude, I'm way too gullible when it comes to chat. Luckily, my chat is still very cultivated and nice. I hope that stays like that going forward.
I don't have anyone on my chat, so I don't ever get tempted to do anything like that.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about custom leagues before we started, but just so the people listening to this and watching the VOD are up to date on custom leagues. Anyone playing any custom leagues in between, you know, that Scuffed Melee solo self-found hardcore challenge and the beginning of next league?
Oh,
are you staying away from Path of Exile to build more hype?
I stayed away for a little bit, and then I played Cuphead for like 2 days, and I was like, okay, that's enough of that. I need to go back to PoE now. And so now I'm doing Shockwave Totem. Thanks, chat. Chat got to pick my skill for me. in Zizz's League. So we're in hardcore with damage mods and LMP, playing Shockwave Totem from level 28, and it is not good. It is
It just needs AoE.
really not good. It needs some damage, I think, as well, but AoE is probably its biggest problem.
The
Like, I
AoE is
think
so bad on it now.
at
Feels
least
bad.
the low end, like at starting, its damage is just horrible. Like it's in a 4-link now, and if I want to kill a rare mob with just like league start gear, like it's not great, but I've got a 4-link and I'm like in Aqueducts, like the first version, and if I want to kill a rare, it takes me about 15 to 20 seconds of having both Shockwave Totems on the rare. That's so long. It's so bad.
Do you have any augmentation for single target damage, like Val, Lightning Trap, or something?
No, nothing.
I
Just
think
Shockwave Totem.
Wait, what level are you?
Like 35 or so
No.
now.
So I was about Colony. Like, how the fuck do you only have 2 totems when you get multi totems at like 38? Well, yeah, that explains.
And does the AoE on Shockwave Totem go up with level? Like most of the AoE skills now have plus radius built in at certain threshold levels.
I hope so.
I don't actually
didn't do
remember.
any planning for
I think
this.
What do you think, Kurt?
I've gone Chieftain, not Hierophant, because I'm going to do full fire conversion, so I'm not even going to get the extra totem. But hopefully multi-totem support when I can get 2 reds will be at least giving me 4. And hopefully it'll be okay.
it doesn't get AoE.
It doesn't get AoE.
Oh no.
Okay.
The saddest thing about Shockwave Totem, in my opinion, though, is the quality. Increased totem life. Like,
oh my god, that's so bad.
It's so fucking bad, dude. That's like one of the worst things about it. Just like the quality. I'm just like, why?
It knocks things back, so it doesn't even get hit anyway.
Yeah, depending on how you build it, you're most likely perma-freezing everything that gets nearby. Like if you like back in the day, you did like an Inquisitor or you did like an Assassin, and just like everything that got hit was like perma-frozen, even like high tier map bosses. Obviously, depends how you build it.
Speed or something. Oh my god.
AoV or like placement speed or something.
Yeah, placement speed would be good because I'm not a Hierophant. I've gone Chieftain to go full fire, which is probably a terrible idea. But something, give it something. It's so bad.
It used to be a really good skill, hey, Kav.
My first level 100 was a Shockwave Totem Assassin. Used to be okay.
I pushed ladder with Shockwave Totem. It was really not bad at all.
I was like 3rd or 4th 100.
And that was just back before the
I think it was better under,
wasn't it? Like
yeah, that was that. Yeah, that was when you drop a Shockwave Totem and then everything on the screen just got one tap.
Shockwave Totems was one of the first skills that I saw in the game when I started playing during Beyond League, and I watched Pox die to Beyond mobs in an Underground Sea map when he was playing Shockwave Totem. And he said something like that he shouldn't have played the Underground Sea afterwards, that it would have not been a good map because he couldn't go sidewards a lot and dodge the projectiles. That
it was. I remember having issues with those kind of maps with Shockwave Totem because the AoE looks like when it like starts casting it is like not far enough to actually kill anything like off screen. So everything that is projectile is just like insta keep. It's like the totem life was so bad at the back in the day. So like I was playing in Perandus and it was actually really annoying to play against the Perandus mobs because they just like spam like all the freeze pulses and whatnot, and they just killed everything immediately. If you didn't get it to cast once and perma freeze the back. This was really awkward. It's probably even worse now.
Well, Shockwave Totem is a spell though, right? So, I mean, they did say we're gonna get an entire spell rebalance and everything brought up to the same level or in line with each other in the spell department.
that can
would be
also be made by
excited.
bringing everything down. I don't think they have specified that they're buffing anything.
What?
They
Chris
just say
Chris
that
literally said on the Bay class that
Chris
there will
did.
be pretty much no nerfs.
Chris said everything is coming up, not down. Just on Bakelite, which I personally am not sure was the right move. I feel like after having played Shockwave Totem, maybe it needs to come up in power a little. But I think a lot of our top end stuff could just we could meet in the middle somewhere, and that would be okay. but apparently everything's getting buffed, so
I mean, it makes sense. When GG rebalances things, when they say that they're rebalancing, they usually mean that they're buffing quite a bit. Especially like recently with the hashtag power creep creeping in.
Well, please,
Sorry.
Seal.
Because of the EU, right? Because I'm all the way in Aussie land over here with BalorMage. But I was going to say, because of the 4.0 expansion coming out, I reckon they're going to be a little bit crazy with the buffing, right? So, because they can always hard reset everything, because that's usually when they like do the big nerfs, right? So,
Just buffing boss life to like map boss life to a level where people are just gonna cry about it all the time for like 3 months, and then they just bring it back again. I remember those times when they buffed the monster, like the map boss life, so much that people like literally were skipping them because it took too long to do. You went from having a monster with 1 HP into a map boss with like a 1 million HP. Like, okay, this makes sense.
Well, they haven't nerfed it since, right? We just the players got more powerful, right?
They did lower the life values of them a bit shortly after the massive uproar.
people still complained even after that for a little bit, and then they just got over it and realized we could actually still kill them, and that it was fine. It just took people a while to adjust. That's all.
yeah, it's definitely a case of the community just sort of being like, we can actually kill these things. Fine. We stop whinging. We'll just.
Oh no, I need one more cooldown than I used to, and now I can still kill the boss in like 2 seconds, so it's fine. And then they gave us a buttload of cooldowns, so now our only problem is I can't fit it on my action bar. But other than
no,
that,
let's not go into that rabbit hole. God damn it.
Oh god, yeah. No, but yeah, I think that's a good point. I think as long as they keep making the hardest content harder or introducing harder content, I think a little bit of power creep every patch is better than nerfing things into the ground. I mean, especially if they keep extending the game in the way that there's constantly more top end content coming, as we've seen with Uber Elder and Elder in general being added the year before last year. In the beginning of last year, let's say, around that time.
I find myself changing my opinion on that in the last few months. I used to think for like a long time, no, I'm sick of power creep. I want it all pulled back. I want the whole game to be harder. And my opinion on that has sort of changed in the last few months, where I'm sort of like, I'm okay if all of the like bottom stuff is super easy and all the middle stuff is still relatively easy for me, as long as they keep putting in stuff that I'm not good enough to do yet. Because I like hitting a wall and getting killed and having to get better. Like, I like that there's that thing, like, I'm not great at Uber Elder yet. I've killed it a bunch of times, never in hardcore, only like 3 times deathless ever. Like, I like that there's that. It's a difficult fight. Once you get it and learn it, you can probably do it on almost anything, but I like that there's hard things. And as long as they keep an area of the game that's difficult enough that I'm struggling with it, and that I do die, and that I do have to go back and level again and try and be less shit. As long as that keeps being that upper end, I'm starting to get okay with like a lot of the lower stuff being easy, because it just makes it a lot more accessible to a lot more people. Tons of people can just sit around in white maps because they can't go any higher, which isn't really a problem as long as they're having fun. Like yeah, I don't know. I don't know when that happened, but over the last few months, I've just noticed myself changing my opinion on that, where I'm just like, I'm okay that a lot of it that used to be really difficult is now really easy for me.
It's also hard to discern what is real power creep and what was just you getting better at the mechanics and at building your character efficiently at an earlier time in the game already.
I mean, path of building has definitely made a big difference. Like forever, we had was it Emmett's skill tree planner, which was good and very functional, but it was only ever a tree, and you could never put in gear, and you could never figure out what your DPS was going to be. You were just figuring out the most efficient route that you could take, and that was it. I think path of building made a pretty big difference because now we can min max a lot before you even make the character, and so that's a decent amount of power creep just in path of building existing. Like I spent half my time in that.
Yeah, that's true. When Path of Building, when I first installed that and first found out how it works, it's definitely had more appeal than the game itself for a while. Which is, due to the fact that Path of Building saves you so much time in trying out character concepts just on paper, where before it existed, you would have had to at least respec a character and spend considerable amounts of time in Path of Exile trying to get the build to run before you realize whether it's a working concept or not. And now you can just press a button and be like, yeah,
that probably also makes a lot of people completely ditch builds that are going to be fine for the content they are going to be doing most of the time because it doesn't reach that 5 million Shaper DPS.
That's a good point. I mean, and it's also hard to put it into context with certain skills. The DPS just doesn't make sense. Honestly, for my Toxic Rain character, there's no Toxic Rain damage over time. Or is there? Yeah, no, there must be in the one calculations tab. But not on the direct DPS thing, which many people who are not aware of the intricacies will probably just look at. And in the same way...
A lot of build cases, you actually have to understand what the DPS value that the BOP tells you is. Like, for example, a lot of people thought Scourge Arrow is complete dog shit because the values on the BOP aren't exactly the massive. But that's because, like, if you look at the pod damage, it's just like one of the pod. Like, it's you have to like calculate all
projectile.
of the. Yeah, exactly.
And then it's also like 6 of them.
Yeah, so you can have all of the bots hit. So whatever the number is, the ultimate DPS, it's you multiply that by how many bots you have, and then a lot of people also completely forget you can hit with the main arrow too, which also does damage. So it's just like there's so many skills where you just look at the numbers and like, that doesn't look good, and it's just like scrap it when in reality it's actually good. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the most meta skill right now, but it doesn't have Stormbrand doesn't have crazy like DPS values really, but it has a 100% uptime of damage, and you can have 2 of them. So it's just like you kind of have to understand how the skills work, even with Path of Building.
The thing that I always like try to tell people is to stop worrying about what DPS is and worry about what kind of damage per minute you would do. Like how much you're going to do over the course of this fight, because then other things come into account. How good is your uptime? How long are your cooldowns up over the course of this longer fight? And then when you look at it at damage per minute, Stormbrand is like really high because it's just on all the time. Not like everything else that you have to cast constantly and totems die and you've got to be in melee range. Sorry, Steel.
No, yeah, and in particular with Toxic Rain, there's a similar issue that you have with Firestorm or something like that. If an enemy is big and immobile, it'll automatically get more pods than if it's tiny and moves around a lot. Yeah, you really have to put into context the DPS values with how exactly mechanically the skill works. Should we talk a little bit about Betrayal? I think we haven't even touched upon that yet. What do you guys think about Betrayal as a league? Like, separate from the big expansion that we got, which also had the entire mastery work and stuff. Just the syndicate mechanics.
I'll go last.
I think the mechanics are like all the interactions are amazing. I just feel like there should be more options. I feel like 2 options is it's not enough, because depending on how you want to build your like syndicate board, you're just gonna at some point you're just gonna end up skipping everything, because you're gonna like ask to like remove someone or something like that. So you just want to do that, so you have to skip it. So I feel like you should always have execute regardless. And then, well, obviously the mastermind shit, where it like completely reset the board. So, well, taking care of that, right? So that's good. But I want also the fact that they are going to be changing it over time. If it's not going to be like, if people don't keep doing the mastermind, because they said they want to do it so that people actually do the cycle. So if they're still not going to do the cycle after the changes, I think we're gonna get even more changes to it. But as a league and a mechanic, I really like it, and like how it's looking to be.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I missed it until I did the Ziz League. Because obviously you can't make private leagues anymore because it's too close to the next league. So they've ended the option to have private leagues with Betrayal. So the Ziz League doesn't have Betrayal. And I really, even, I mean, of course, it'd be like ridiculously spooky in that league, but I really missed it. It wasn't the same, for sure.
I feel like a lot of people who say that they hate it right now are just like a lot like when they when they don't have it and they kind of like crave it, and then when we get like a bit less of it, then it's gonna be like, this is fine. We just like getting spoon, like we just fucking they just like throwing it out like every single zone out of our face. So
I mean, it's the same with any. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like kind of the same thing with everything.
It's the same at every end of the league. People are oversaturated with the encounters, and it's a little bit samey. And honestly, I think Betrayal. I think for me personally, that was the longest league that, and I think I'm personally not even at the point now where I'd say, okay, the league can end. If the league was going to start again, I think I said that on the last one, I'd happily play it again without any changes. I just really liked it. But Balor is going to contradict.
I think that every single league before this, all the way up to and including Breach, was twice as good as this league was, at least, or more. I think it's the worst league that's happened in a few years. If it wasn't for all the base changes and master changes that went with it, I would have got bored ages ago.
Why?
Everything else kept me involved. Syndicate was boring.
Can you give any specifics why?
Especially when you include Incursion in the leagues that are better. Incursion is basically just worse Betrayal.
I loved Incursion.
I love Incursion how it is now. I got really bored of it really quick in the actual Incursion league.
I think that my problems with it are there's really only 2 ways that the Syndicate fights go. Either you kill them super quickly or they one-shot you, and I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm engaged with any of those fights at all. I feel like I've either got enough DPS that I destroy them, or I run away, or they one-shot me.
I think you just summarized whole PoE pretty much.
Yeah, but there's that, and then there's the fact that I did the boss fight at the end one time and was like, well, that was not worth it. That just ruined everything. Now I've got to spend the next 6 hours setting everything back up again, and I didn't get rewarded for it. And it just, a lot of the things I think can be changed, and by reading their manifesto of how they're implementing it, it's probably going to be a good mechanic once it's added in, and I'm probably going to like it in its lesser form that's not always there. But I don't know, it just didn't feel good to me. Like, there were so many different things affecting it. There were all the items and the level of individual things, and then I could never tell what mobs were coming out because you couldn't see anything in most of them. If you had 4 of them pop out at once, you couldn't tell what was going on at all. I just didn't I don't know. I just didn't feel engaged with it at all.
But do you think when considering the mechanic of the league that you can scrap the league away because the old fucking screen noise and everything like that? So let's say that they tune that down, and let's say, okay, I think everyone can agree that the mastermind resetting your shit and everything is just it's getting changed. So I don't think we can talk. We don't need to talk about it anymore much. But let's say that you take the massive screen noise away. Is it then better?
I mean, if they also like tone down the visuals so that we can actually see anything that's going on.
That's kind of what I was trying to come with.
And yeah, like I think that the changes they're making are good, and I think I will probably enjoy it as a mechanic in the base game the way they're describing it being added. Like, I think they're making the right changes, and I think it's going to be a good addition, and I am going to enjoy it in the future. I just didn't at all enjoy its implementation in the league. That's all. It was a really good idea, and I felt like the execution fell short. There was too much clutter everywhere. There was too much going on. There was items and levels and just there was just too many things, and it was just too much to keep track of, and not really rewarding except the like two things that were so rewarding that you would never do anything else anyway. And I don't know. I didn't love it, but I still think it's got a lot of potential to be really good. The way they're describing adding it, I'm excited about, and I think it'll be great. Just didn't like the leak. I didn't think it was good.
TLDR, you think the mechanic is good, they just kind of failed at the leak itself.
Yeah, the
I can kind of agree
the
with that.
idea was great, but just didn't. They just missed it a little.
See, I would have agreed like 1 or 2 weeks into the league, but at this point, I can pretty much tell which syndicate member is attacking me at any time just by reading the animations, by listening to the voice. And if that all doesn't help, I can still try and not die while hovering them and reading the name on screen. And I also kind of have an overview in my head of what items are possible and what effects they cause. So when all of a sudden I get into a fight and there's stuff happening that I don't understand, like a petrifying statue turning me into stone, I know, oh, that syndicate member has probably that augment, so that item that makes him summon that petrify statue, so I should either not face that one or off-screen them or just skip the entire encounter. Yeah, I think that it really didn't do a good job at teaching us the mechanic, but I feel when you learn to play around it, it feels very rewarding, at least when there's more than what you said, more than the 1 or 2 options that you're going for max profit. But if you actually look at them as a means to acquire items that you need, which I do in Solo Self-Found in the custom league, where I'm like really hyped to get Chimeria into transportation for the league exclusive uniques, and to get even the Guff trials are super good because you can craft something, right?
Has PoE ever taught us mechanics of anything? Like they just throw you in the deep end, and then after you've been killed 7 times, you learn what's going on.
Well, some mechanics are more intuitive than others. This one is particularly unintuitive because it's not like left or right for good, for this or that. It's like, you really need to know which button you need to click, because if you click the wrong one, remove all rivalries, you can really screw up your board.
Yeah, that button's OP.
Never press that button.
That's true, and I see that as a big criticism from many people, that it goes against the mentality of PoE being potentially, if you wanted to, a very light game that you can play to wind down after a long day of work while watching a TV series or something like that. You can't do that because you'll actually have to think about what you want to do with it. You can't just, go up right like in lab all the time, or click right, or go into one direction. We'll actually have to think about which option to click.
I mean, and the other side of the argument is that why should just mindless I mean, there is minus grinding that is worth it. Just go farm low-level delves, easy money. Why does everything have to be that you don't actually have to give up one brain cell out of your head to think about something? Like, they don't have to minimax it. They choose to do so because it's so good. Like, they kind of force themselves to do it, and they just don't like it because they have to think on it. I don't know. I kind of like that. There's like, if you want to minimax something, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But I think with it's probably less of a concern when it goes core and when it's not everywhere anymore. But really, when you potentially in every single area that you encounter by just autopiloting through it and autopiloting the encounter could mess up rivalries on the board that take you hours to set up, then yeah. I mean, delving is kind of something you choose to do, and then you can, if you, I want to min-max delve, I want to, get good profit, then I go in there with a clear mind, early morning, worker's attitude. But while mapping, you can't really, I guess you can avoid the syndicate. After all, there is the research lab cheese.
We can net for now.
I was just about to say what is going to happen now, because we said we're going to get transportation or fortification and then research and intervention. Yeah. So I actually wonder what will happen with mechanics. Let's say that we actually lock 3 of them. Do we just get 1 encounter, or do we get 3 encounters of the same? Like, I wonder what the mechanics of that will be.
I suspect that they're not going to be able to be locked.
Yeah,
I suspect we will see them show up anyway, even if they're full, because they're just forced to.
Yeah, me too. And I kind of, in a way, I don't like it, because I've been thinking about from the point of view of people not wanting to get completely trashed in their high tier maps by intervention, just like out of the blue sky. I kind of like the idea that you could keep it like at 100%, and then you know that you won't encounter that for a short amount of time.
Because you can get all 4 of them to 100% right now, all at once, and then just never see any encounter at all.
Yeah, like, but that's just that has to be like that's just a bug, right? Let's just face it. They definitely did not intend that to be a case, ever.
Probably, but it happened several times while I was trying to farm up challenges just by accident.
I mean, we can say that with like any bug, like they didn't intend for us to be able to farm Elder Guardians non-stop without ever respawning them, but you could do that for the first week of the league because of bugs. So I'm pretty sure that was not something they ever intended to be a case.
Wait, what was the particular bug that we're talking about?
You could max all of your safe houses. You still can now to 100%, and then just never see it. Basically, you're just playing standard from then until you launch one from your hideout. You just with all 4 of them sit at 100%, you just never see them at all. They just don't exist in any zone.
Oh, yeah, because okay. you need to get the ticks, or I don't remember what they called it. Whenever you make a new map, you encounter there's like rounds or whatever. I don't know, turns.
A turn, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have turns in order for them to the save houses to go away from 100%. And since everything is 100%, no turn happens because you never encounter any of them, so they're just locked until you do one of the save houses.
Okay, but they removed that instantly 1 week into the league, or what?
Oh no, that's
you can still do it.
That's still in the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a little bit. Honestly, I was very disappointed when I found out that you could just lock them in the research lab. I thought that was, when I heard about that, 1 week into the league or something like that, I didn't like the idea. I really liked about the league that those syndicates were out there and they were trying to kill you, and they could come at any moment. They could be around any corner in maps, in Ray class and Oriath. I really enjoyed that.
I definitely used it. I locked them away because I was doing tier 15 and 16 maps, and they were spooky as shit, and there was just no reason to deal with them. But But I agree. I don't think I should have been able to. I would have preferred it if everybody was forced to interact with them. But that also would have made me build my character different. Like I was doing group magic find stuff on a tornado shot Scion that had like 3.9k life in tier 16 maps, and I just wouldn't have been doing that. I'd have been like, okay, I'll wear as much MF gear as I can and a combs and try and get 6.5 or something, so that I don't just get one shot. I would have preferred it if it was forced upon us, but it wasn't, so I used it.
Hmm.
So the next part of that league was breach stones, which has everyone read the nerfs that are happening to that?
Yes, and I think there'll be people pushing 100 into the Elite Report if they want to use them.
You think we're still going to use them now?
Probably. They're still going to give you a lot of XP, even after the.
I mean, people used them before breach stones were around, right? People would run breach stones for experience before that.
Yeah, Chilo was good XP even before.
Is it actually
Is it the
gonna be
best
better
XP?
than
I don't know. We
mapping?
don't know. We don't know all the synthesis, right? We don't know if there's something crazy about synthesis that is gonna. What if the 25 long things are just gonna be crazy XP? I don't know.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think at the very least, all the ones that aren't Chula, I think just like running beyond tier 15, tier 16 maps is going to end up being faster now. Chayula might still end up in front, but they're also really hard to get. And if you want to run 100 of them, that's expensive. Whereas like getting Zoffs and Tolls and shit, that was nothing. Everyone could do that, but getting Chalupas is. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but it's definitely going to be enough that every single person in existence isn't going to get another level 100. We doubled the amount of level 100s that exist this league, just at all.
I think it was even more than just double, right?
Was it? It might. Yeah. Well, actually, that was like 2 weeks ago. It was doubled, so there'll be more. There'll be more since then. Like in the game ever, we more than doubled the amount of level 100s that exist.
Yeah, exactly. You're not talking about the number hundreds in this league being twice as many achieved as in any other league, but twice as many as ever existed in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's just like I'm because it's a league. I have this thing where I'm okay with pretty much anything in a league. I'm even okay with this whole like massive XP cheese. We doubled the amount of level 100s. This doesn't bother me in a league, but it will bother me if it's still really, really good and easy to get level 100 after that when it's added to the base game. When things are added to the base game, that's when they bother me. I'm okay with any shenanigans inside a league. But when they get added permanently, that's where I start to go, do we really need that? Like, do you actually want to leave it that easy? Like, is that where we're going with this?
I think the damage has been done already. To be honest, I think even having it in the league is cheapens it like a lot, like a lot. I mean, you need, like Carv was saying, you don't need any brain cells to do Breachstone Rotas. So it's so, I don't know. I think
or
the
any
damage is done.
DPS for that matter.
Exactly. So I think the damage
you don't
is
even
done.
need a good character.
People are like, just let people get their 100s. That they don't understand. They don't understand the scope of what the damage of what this has done. That's kind of disappointing, honestly.
What kind of damage are you talking about in particular? Do you think reaching 100 in a league lost its appeal because it was easy in this league? So like next league,
Absolutely.
I don't think level 100 has any kind of meaning to it anymore. At least
exactly. Like, yeah, because like hitting 100 is almost for most people a meaningless goal other than hitting 100, right? Like it's a grind, right? That's all it is. If you've ever hit 95, I always say just do the same thing a lot more, right? Because that's basically all it is.
Yeah.
So doing it in Breachstones, now you're just kind of like, tick that box. It's done. I'm never going to do it again. I don't care anymore. I don't know.
On the other note, it's perfect content for what, I don't know if it was Chris or whoever said it like a long time ago, but having just like chilling, watching some TV at the same time, because there's a limit how fast you can clear them. So it kind of reminds me of like RuneScape AFK, like AFK XP and do something else. You have one or two guys clearing it and just kind of run behind them and do whatever on the other screen. That's like perfect for it.
Yep.
See, I think people are making it sound worse than it actually is, because on my way to level 99 last league, I was basically doing the same, only I was resetting beast burrows in Delve, which is also pretty brainless. I mean, it was around 280, 290 Delve depth, so like monster level 83, and I just ran the same Delve over and over, didn't kill the final beast, and started again. And then when I ran out of Sulfite, I got the Sulfite in maps again, and then I came back into Delve. And that kind of felt similar to what you just described. Like, it just felt brain numbing and like not even really a grind, because you just have to sit through it. And that's ultimately probably also the main reason why I stopped at level 99 instead of going through to 100. I was like, okay, now I got 12%, and I kind of figured out in my head how the next 7-8 days are going to look like if I go to level 100, and it's not exciting for me.
Now the difference here is that now you go from the 99 to 100 within the same day as you went from 98 to 99. So also there's another step in the delving with that strat, because you have to also get the sulfite. So I think while I kind of agree, I feel like there's a okay. The delving is like here, and then you have the bridgestones like somewhere there, like off the ceiling. So there's still like a big difference, I think.
What about darkness farming? People were doing darkness farming and told me that I should, instead of burning my sulfite, I should just go and throw flares into the darkness and clear monsters and get experience that way.
Which was still good, but darkness farming wasn't any better than running like high beyond maps or anything for XP. Like you weren't. It's not.
Okay, so you're just saying the breachstones are so much better.
Of what you're doing in breachstones.
Darkness farming is only the best thing to do if you're basically so self-found. In trade league, there's always going to be something better than darkness farming.
Like it was good. It just wasn't. It's nothing we've ever had is like breachstones. They were just.
There's one thing about darkness. Well, I guess delve farming in general, but I think pretty interesting about darkness farming is that if you do specific zones like the abyss monster zones, you can actually get the div card for breachstones from them while farming that just like all over and over, which is I think is kind of interesting in a way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I completed like three or four sets in that league just by farming. Like it wasn't 83, but it was like 35 back size or something like that, and it was like 3 nodes long. It was pretty good.
Juicy.
It's pretty good for like social fun. Not the greatest thing for like trade league, but yeah.
So the other thing that's coming over with Betrayal is scarabs that got nerfed. Or at least the important ones got nerfed decently heavily. But I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, are scarabs actually well, they're useful, but I mean, are they actually good? Like, are they interesting, or do they just feel like mandatory things you need to add on? Because like this league, they felt mandatory. If I wasn't running scarabs, you're wasting your time. Like, there was no reason to not run scarabs on every map I ever ran.
Which scarabs did you run?
Almost all of them except Tormented Spirits, because that one's useless. just anything. Every scarab that added mobs to map, I was just running.
It's basically like leak stone. If you have it, you use it.
Yeah, like
And then you just save the good ones for like the juice.
Yeah, I
Like
was just
choosing
buying
operator.
them on bulk. Like I have a stash tab that was just full of buy orders for scarabs, and I would just buy anything people gave me because no matter what the price of scarabs were, it was always worth running them, even on your own. And I don't know if that's something that I love going into the base game. That it's gonna feel bad now just putting a map in when there are scarabs available.
But there's also fragments available and stuff. There's only 4 slots in the map device.
Yeah, but fragments do so little. Like in comparison to a scarab, they barely even exist.
And maybe it's time to really add more stuff that you can throw in, so there's some competition and some select, like some pressure, so that you can't run all the things that you would want, but you actually have to make a decision what you want to run.
Well, the biggest one is going to be sulfide scarabs. I saw a lot of crying about the sulfide scarab nerf, but then they seem to have buffed sulfide spawn overall to like always be 3. And
So
now I'm
such a good
wondering if
change.
everyone's still upset. Like if everyone still upset about the scarab nerf now? Because it feels better now. It feels like, well, obviously we haven't played it, so I don't know what it feels like, but it looks like it's going to be less of a difference between people who have sulfite scarabs and people who don't. Like I'm now it's barely giving me any more. It's just guaranteeing the spawn in the map, and that's pretty much it. If it's going to be like 70% less effective, then it's barely going to give me any more sulfite in the map than if it spawned naturally. And so I feel like that's pretty helpful because that sort of closes the gap a lot between people who are rich enough to buy those scarabs and people who just found it in a map. You're still going to get almost the same amount. So I think that's better.
I mean, now whenever you juice up your map and you use the scarab, like you have consistent 3 instead of the randomness of sometimes having 1. So the consistency is good. I really like the consistency. One of the worst things, other than running a gilded scarab and getting only 1, is doing the daily objectives and only getting 1. You use your you elder your map into a T16 and then to hope it's like a 3 and then it's just like 1.
Corrupted into an 8 mod.
You like roll maps and corrupt them until you get one with like 140% quantity, and then you add fragments to it. You're like, here we go. I'm gonna walk out of this map with 20,000 sulfite. You get 1 node. Piece of.
Yeah, the consistency is really good. But I mean, people who want to delve, if they have less access to it after the nerf, even if they make it more consistent, well, they're not gonna like it because they want to delve, right? So.
But the question is just how much do people are people going to want to delve next league? Do you guys?
What synthesis is.
It depends on whether it's such a terrible league that people escape from reality into the delve, or do you think it's going to occupy people more? I mean, maybe it's really amazing and you just don't want to take any time off of synthesis because you just keep going back and forth between maps and building your perfect memory fragment route.
I hope so. I hope it's really, really good. It looks.
Sorry to interrupt. I just think there's always going to be people playing Delve because of the ladder, right? Like even the lab ladder has competition, right? So I think there'll always be people pushing the Delves.
Yeah, that's true. Like even if synthesis is so fantastic that most people are doing it, there's still going to be ladder pushes at delves. That's definitely going to happen. People trying to figure out how to be immune in a new way and head as far down as they can.
I remember the flash changes when it's supposed to be a reduced damage taken, and then like without like saying anything, and then just less. That was nice. And it didn't even end up.
Tell us about that. Got me a little upset.
Yeah. But like even then, like it didn't really matter because you could still hit the 100% reduced with purities, like wall purities.
Yeah, like I understand why they've changed the flasks. I do. I get it because a few people had already worked out that it was going to be pretty easy to hit 100 now.
Just tell us about it.
Going to be immune. But yeah, to tell us about it. Like don't just like people league started with builds that were built around that mechanic, and then we're like, wait, hang on, what's going on here? Why isn't this working? And then they look at the flask and like, oh no.
Oh, okay, so that went completely past me. I did see them announce it that they were going to change flasks.
Yeah, they went from max resist to reduced.
Exactly, you don't get any additional resists anymore, but reduced damage taken.
Yeah, but it's actually less because you can stack the reduced so easily to 100 if it was, because like with flask effectiveness being a Pathfinder, you could turn the 20% reduced to something like almost to 40%, and then you just stack the like rest. Like you can go like double Nebulok. Pathfinder gets a bit more. You get you could so easily get to 100%. So they changed it to less. So you can
change
do
it from reduced to less, but they never told us.
Yeah,
they said it was reduced. They released pictures of the flask where they said reduced damage taken.
Exactly, I remember those, but
that was all we got. And then in game it says less. We started the league and it wasn't reduced; it was less.
And less is always multiplicative.
And that's a really big difference.
I understand that, but you got to fill this one in for a total mechanics scrub. How can you stack with what does reduce stack additively? The reduced damage. With conversion?
So if you can get to 100% reduced fire damage taken, you just don't take fire damage. Like that's it. Like if you additive.
I just don't know where you get more sources. But Nebulok, you said, right?
Double Nebulok, you get Pantheon, Pathfinder gets native, you get over 35% from the flask itself.
Right.
The Wise Oak also gets flask
effect. Reduced elemental damage.
So Wise Oak and the Resist Flask alone, as a Pathfinder with flask effect, will give you like 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, so people had worked out before that they could get it to 100%.
Yeah, I spent like 20 minutes or something. I was reading the patch notes, and when we saw it, I was like, okay, this fucking notepad up, and then started like listing all the things and started looking how to do it. It's like
it definitely makes sense that they changed it.
Yeah.
The only problem with changing it was that they changed it and they never told anyone. We just started the league, and it wasn't until one dropped, and even then, I didn't notice when it dropped the first time. Like I got a Sapphire Flask and like early leveling somewhere and just threw it in the bank, and I didn't notice that it had different words on it than what I was expecting because I never bothered to read it. Like I know what a Sapphire Flask does, right? Like I didn't read it. I just put it away and moved on.
I know what the Sapphire Flask does. I chance it turns blue, and I throw it away.
But yeah, the not telling us thing that bothered me.
I think that's not as bad as the other things that they just didn't include after like hyping us up about +1 curse, +1 totem. That's just like another. Just tell us that you're not including them, because it took like a week or something without anyone noticing, and then just like a massive uproar, and then they added them. Just like just add it to the patch notes or something like that, please. Just like explain why.
It's okay to take stuff away and not give us things that we thought we were getting. That's fine. Make whatever decisions you want. Just don't tease me that something's coming and then not put it in.
I don't exactly understand the thought process behind teasing something that you're not sure that you're going to include in the release.
I don't think they'll do it again. I think enough people complained that they were like, yeah, we can't be doing stuff like that.
That's not even the first time they've done that, actually. I don't remember the specific case, but we had this in the past. And I'm expecting it to happen again, because it's probably the people teasing us about like doing the teasers and everything like that. That could be like from an old version of what they had, and then with changes happening like before the release, and then just someone just forgot to document on something like that, and it just gets lost in there somewhere. But yeah, I mean, basically just do your job better, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. But like, I kind of understand how. Like, I don't think they're like trying to like deceive us or like just like flat out not tell us because they don't want to. I think they just fucked up somewhere. Kind of like with the not remembering to include the cyclone nerf in the patch notes originally.
That has to have been an accident. Just as a side note, like that had to have like slipped through by. Surely Cyclone didn't need a nerf. It just didn't. It just didn't need it. That has to have been an accident. I don't even want to play Cyclone, but it's just become a meme at this point. Like one less radius to Cyclone just on every
But
patch.
Cyclone is a very used skill. You just don't use it to actually deal damage with it.
It's just a cast on crit trigger now.
Speaking of Cyclone, by the way, isn't Cyclone channeling skill in consoles?
And where?
Consoles like an Xbox.
I have no idea.
I remember somebody vaguely talking about it, and I really hope that's the case because now I know that I can do like Cashman channeling on the PS4 when it comes out.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
if-
that
if-
can't be.
If that's the case, you're gonna have to try cast on crit cast while channel. Because
So you do
I'm
both.
really
I don't-
interested
I
to see
don't-
if it triggers both.
I don't think that works because you can't have two triggers on like you can't have Gasman damage taken and Gasman stunned either for a single skill in the same links. So I don't think it's gonna work.
Damn it, because that would be really cool. And by cool, I mean completely busted.
That's a good question. You can't use a spell to both cast when damage taken and another trigger gem, but can you use can you do the attack with both?
It's basically they're just like basically two dead links.
Okay.
Chances are
nothing just happens.
It just keeps you Cyclone.
Or you could just try it with Blade
either-
Flurry anyway.
It won't work.
It'll either work with both, or more likely, it'll just do nothing, and you'll have a Cyclone that's linked to a bunch of spell supports that nothing casts from. Because
it's gonna be a Cyclone
trigger gems
that basically
cancel each
has it's basically gonna be Cyclone with crit strikes, and that's it.
Yeah.
And whatever normal link, like a support gem that works with Cyclone, it just you can try it with cast when damage taken and cast when stun and shit like that. Just like the links just disappear from the.
Yeah, I think chat is confirming that it doesn't work.
Damn, that's disappointing.
It's following my lead here.
Thanks.
Yeah, one thing I really want to know about from you, Carv, is you made a video about weird little mechanics, functions in the Atlas, of some of which you're not even sure whether they're bugged or intended as they are. And do you want to? I know you made a 20-minute video about it, so I don't expect you to fully outline that here. But do you want to maybe present one or two of these, the most notable ones, to our audience?
I mean, my two biggest gripes with Outlaws currently is the first one is fake influence, quote unquote fake influence, which so you can't use strongholds to permanently, like if you have a stronghold next to an Elder Influence map, and the Elder Influence map doesn't have any other Shaper Influence next to it, you can't, by running the Elder Influence map, it just like loses influence. And this also happens with Guardian maps. When the Guardian is Shaper Influence, but when it's Elder Influence, then it works. Also, the Stronghold can randomly take influence away from Elder Influence map, so it just doesn't make any sense. And then, so remember the bug that I just mentioned like earlier this podcast. We're talking about being able to farm like Elder and his Guardians, right? So that's most likely why they changed the system so that. So let's say that I have a T5 Underground Sea in my Atlas, and it has Elder Influence. So if I then use like a Zana mod to shape it into a T10, it doesn't have any influence. So the reason they did that was because that's the way you abuse the bug to farm. You could also do permanent stronghold farming with that, and you'd always get loot, and the stronghold wouldn't go away. So it was at some point asked somewhere, is this intended to work like this? And they said that it's intended to work like that. I think somebody like messaged support about it. So it doesn't, like, I can understand it's intended that it works right like that right now because of the bug. I'm just very worried that they will keep it like that. So because that removes kind of interesting interaction. For example, you can't get the shaper fragments by doing the shaped 3-to-1 recipes anymore. And you can't run if you have a T10 map with Elder Influence, you can't shape it into a T15 or Elder map and run a high tier Elder Influence map. So you actually have to shape the actual map in your Atlas before you can do it. So it's just like, it just doesn't make much sense, because if you shape or Elder a T10 into T16 or 15 and it has an Atlas objective, well, that still works, even though it's technically a different map than it's on your
that
Atlas.
still works?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, I thought they took that out, but that's
Okay, I thought everything didn't work.
it's
the way I was...
Influence doesn't work.
Just influence. Okay. The way I was thinking of it, and apparently I was wrong, the way I was thinking of it was, if I'm shaping the map or running a shaped version of the map that's not shaped on my Atlas, the way I've been thinking about it in my head is that map I'm running just doesn't actually exist in my Atlas, so it's not taking anything. But you're saying it does take some stuff and just not influence.
Also, sextants work. So,
right, okay.
Yeah. And then I guess that the third one is that I just feel like they just fucked up something with the Sana mods, right? So you get access to shaping a T5 map into a T10 when you complete Shaper Influence T5 for the Sana questline, right? So in what world does it make sense that after I complete the T5 map, I'm now able to shape my T5 into a T10 without ever doing a T6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 map?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And that's also the same case for T10 to T15. You get the T15 shape, or like the shape up, like up to T10 maps, right? After you do Elder Influence T10. So based on that logic, I think we should have access to Elder Orb way earlier too, right? It just doesn't make much sense.
That's true.
And another reason why I think this doesn't really, like, that they just fucked up, is because we didn't even have these mods available before like almost 2 weeks into the league. I think it's for like 10 or 11 days after the league started when they introduced them to us. But I'm just hoping that it's because they had to rewrite the Atlas code a lot to make it like more like generic, so that they can do the Atlas reshuffles more often, and then there's just a lot of bugs, and they actually fix them for 3.6. That's why I hope that's the case. Slash around. Okay.
Are they gonna introduce another lot of bugs with another Atlas reshuffle and?
I don't think there's any
Atlas reshuffles.
I don't think there's
every
any
league,
mechanical changes. Yeah.
Every league.
It's amazing.
I don't know. I'm both really excited and kind of like, is that too often? I don't know. Like, for me, it's definitely not. I love the idea of just shuffling the whole thing every league. But also, I feel like if it was like every second league, that would give people a chance to be like, work out what's good, and then next league know everything that you were going to go through. I don't know. But I feel like it's going to make me not get bored of mapping a lot longer by just like I expect I'm not going to be running like the same maps next league. I'm just not, because they're not going to be in. I'm going to want ones that are in the right positions, ones that have the right access to sextants and whatnot. So I'm going to be running maps probably in the same positions as this league, but whatever ends up there.
I think how the code is so that they have the art, the Atlas art, right? So they probably have like like the actual art, like so you'd have like images of like buildings and whatnot. They basically are just coded to not be able to have the routing. And when they do the shuffle, the routings also change, like the pathing. That way, they also would change all the sextant positions. So that would like, fix that issue as well. That's how I think it's gonna happen. Obviously, I don't know, but yeah.
Well, this league, it was completely, all the positions were different from previous leagues, right? I mean, I remember the bottom left corner in particular where excavation is with all the other maps in this like 6-pack arrangement where you could technically elder one of them and then have 5 white sextants overlap with one of them. I think that one stood out to me particularly as new.
Yeah, I think the only thing that is not changing, I think, is like how you look at the atlas. So there's like the quadrants. They connect in the 6 maps, the 8 maps, and then the 12. So I think that's like the only thing that doesn't change. That the connections from a quadrant to another is only at those specific tiers. And that's probably also why like say if you corrupt a T2 map or like T5 map in the, like let's say the bottom left quadrant, you can actually get any of the T6s of that quadrant. So that's like probably how they coded it, I think.
I'm pretty interested now. I really hope it does shuffle the like connections a little bit as well.
I'm expecting that to be the case.
If it's just the maps, then I already know the positions now that are like these are the best few positions for sextanting eldered maps, and I'm just going to look at the maps in those 3 or 4 spots and be like, which one of those is the best map? That one. All right, there we go. And that'll be it. But if they mess up the connections as well, then that's learning every single league. That's completely new stuff all the time. That would be great.
I'm curious to hear Steel on that. Like, do you prefer having a little bit more time to get used to a given atlas setup so you can work out the best strategy to set up your atlas for leveling fast in a race situation, or do you actually like digging into a new situation?
Well, whenever I push ladder, we just look at it always takes like a league, right? So when we start pushing ladder and we have to just sort of guess, especially before I started streaming, it really was guessing, right? Because I don't have 5,000 people telling me, do this map, this map's good. So it really is a bit of a struggle every league, especially now. It is changing every league, right? So it's going to make it way harder. It is easier now to be able the Elder Orb, right? Because now you can unlock the whole atlas. You can just wing it. And then by that time, you'll have that 1 or 2 day buffer to just Elder Orb the best map. So at least we have the Elder Orb. Yeah, it is going to be interesting.
Interesting is a positive. Is positive.
Yeah. Like it's going to be new. I mean, how long did we have this trend meta for? So I'm glad we don't have to do that. Well, no, now we miss Strand, but I remember running thousands of them in the span of a year. And
yeah, actually, I didn't miss it when it changed.
That was
when
also,
it changed, I was like, yes, thank God.
But that was also due to the fact that Legacy was like a 5-month league, right?
True, yeah.
Yeah, but it was Strand before that for ages. Like it was just
it was Strand before Legacy too. Yeah.
I was really happy when it changed, and now I kind of miss Strand just a little bit. But that might just be nostalgia because it's been so long.
Oh, Strand's a good map, right? It's just when you run it for like imagine running in a straight line for like 1 or 2 years. I don't know how long it was. It was a long time,
1 or 2 years until you encounter the first pack.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
Nowadays.
Strand is now a great map with 17 mobs in it, but that's fine.
Yeah, when GGG nerfs something, tactical nuke incoming, vault map, tactical. Like I love it too. It almost makes you wonder, like, do multiple devs think, we could nerf vault by nerfing the div cards? We could nerf vault by nerfing the density. We could nerf vault by doing this. We could nerf the boss. We could nerf the loot at the end of the boss. The puddles. We could nerf this. And then when the nerfs finally happen, boom, they're all at once, and it's completely dead, and it's one of the worst maps now.
Just really quickly on Vault. This is still pretty off. This is pretty off topic, but Vault to me had one of my favorite boss quote unquote mechanics in it. Like, it's not really a mechanic, but I really loved that at the end of Vault, the better you did on that boss fight, the more like piles of loot that were somewhat rewarding and felt good existed at the end of that map. And I thought that was the way to fix boss mapping, like killing bosses in maps, is to give them all something that felt slightly rewarding for killing them. Because Bolt was never really OP, even like back when it was good. Like the treasure piles and stuff, it was never really like super OP, but it always felt good to click on them and open them. And I was like, if they just like sprinkled that stuff around all over other bosses, and found different ways to make that boss fight when I kill it feel good, that would have been a great way to address that problem. And instead of doing that, they nerfed the only map boss in the game that felt really good to kill. And I'm like, no, that's the opposite of what we want.
Well, mechanically,
please. I was just gonna say, I sympathize with GGG. That like, in a perfect world, every single boss would be like that, right? Well, not the same, but obviously we would get rewarded for killing the boss quickly or a certain way. Like, it reminds me of even the little stuff, like in the armory, right? We get that chest, and not everybody clicks the chest. But if you know to click the chest, it's rewarding, right? So even just little tiny stuff like that. But it's just too much work, right? Like I said, perfect world, but they don't. I guess they don't have the resources.
You can still enrage the rower.
Tiny things in life. But that's another one. The rower's good.
It's good, but it never feels as rewarding as the thing. Even if it drops a huge pile of rare loot, it's all... And then that ties into another whole problem of loot being mostly not worth picking up and identifying. But it just never feels as rewarding as that vault boss felt.
I just realized on that note... Sorry, on that note, at least we still do pick up crappy rares, right? Because at least we have like things like alteration shards and alch shards, right? Pretty good. Because I think of a game like D3, right, where if it's not like exactly what you're looking for, you're just skipping over like hundreds of uniques, like, you know what I mean?
And think about the chaos recipe, dude.
Gotta appreciate the little things in life, and the shards and everything.
The chaos recipe, I've been told, has come back thanks to Delve because of all the jewelry boxes. So I've been told it's back this last couple leagues.
I can't see myself doing that.
I have an issue. This is not even like I have an issue in Soul Self-Fund where I'm just like I'm gathering the when I'm doing Delve, I'm just gathering the rings and amulets and belts. And when I go back to mapping, I have to like make like 3 or 4 stashings if I want to keep up with the rings, amulets, and belts that I would get from like if I were delving around like level 60, 70 or something like that. That's just how much you get from them. It's so good for Soul Self-Fund, dude. It's so amazing.
Yeah, I can see it in Solo Self-Found, but I can't. Even if the chaos recipe ended up being like a decent way to make money, I still couldn't bring myself to do it. It's just too much. It's too fiddly. And if you just dump all of those rings and belts and amulets into a 2C tab, fucking they'll sell and you'll make the same amount or more anyway. Like I just can't. I don't know. I can't.
That's
like day one maybe.
We were talking completely 2 different worlds. So yeah, obviously.
Yeah, in Solo Self-Found, I can definitely see it, but.
I would probably never do it in a trade league, especially in hardcore, because people die, so it's easy. I remember when I was playing hardcore at some
hardcore.
Yeah, at some point, this was like a long time ago, like before Breach. Like since Breach, I pretty much just played like Soul Self-Fund for the longest time. So at the time, when somebody like bought me something, instead of saying "stay safe," sometimes I said, I hope you die soon so you can buy another leveling unique from me. This is like, yeah, I'll come back to you tomorrow. It's like, yeah, I'll give you a discount, dude.
frequent flyer discounts.
You just have to have the character dead in a standard league so you can prove that it died. Instead of just coming back to me next day to buy something for cheaper. Which was sometimes thing. There's a couple of guys I just ended up giving shit for free because they just kept dying all the time.
It's been a while since I played a hardcore trade league. I've been thinking about hardcore trade for next league, but honestly, I'm still super undecided. There's so many options. Well, really, there's only hardcore solo self-found or hardcore, because I've done one softcore build last league and I'm a little bit fed up with softcore, and I did get out of it what I wanted. I did manage to learn some endgame boss mechanics, did finally my first Uber Elder, and yeah, I got fed up with trade again. But I feel in a hardcore setting it would be fun, because what you said, that you can make a lot of money in hardcore leagues just selling leveling items, and just basically everything you pick up from the ground has some sort of value because it keeps leaving the league, and there's no huge inflation. I mean, there's some inflation, but
yeah, for the better part of the first week, the softcore and hardcore markets seem to be pretty similar, and then after like five days ish in, it becomes harder and harder to sell stuff in softcore, and the item has to be better and better before people are interested in it. And then you get this big gap between this is worth 2 chaos because it's garbage, and anything between the 2 chaos and the 25 chaos item will never sell. It has to be at least either worth at least 25 if people are after a semi-decent piece, or worth almost nothing for the broke people, and everything in the middle just doesn't sell. It's really weird. I'm finding it really weird in softcore. Whereas in hardcore, like, everything sells. You can have price points at like every 2 chaos all the way up, and stuff will sell from every tab.
That's an interesting one to talk about. That Kavas guy that we're gonna encounter. Who do you think is he, and how does he tie into the previous lore? I mean, quite obviously, since we're gonna recover his lost memories, literally that's what it says on the thing, right? Do you guys think that we're gonna discover some sort of connection to the already existing PoE lore? Yeah, probably, right? I mean, would be weird if we discover something that's completely unrelated.
So you heard it here first, but I think this is another like couple league arc into, the bigger thing, and I think we discovered that he's the guy. Like if you look at the color of the Thanos thing, it reminds me a lot like Harvey. So, and we're just like this guy who doesn't remember anything of his past. So I think he's the guy who somehow opened the world of Harpies to like break glass. That's my guess.
Ooh. You're like the Harbinger Prophet guy.
Yeah, like he like the Thanos thing is something about the Harpies, just like this disjointed world, right? So it's my guess. So it's something Harbinger related.
I mean, it's the right color.
Yeah, it's the same color as Delph.
Yeah, I remember when I ran my first beachhead, we finished the encounter, the loot pops open and the portal gets destroyed. I remember thinking, like, at the start of the encounter, like, can we go through that? But yeah, we never really did get like more expanded lore, because they obviously have lore for Harvey, right? They read like the text and everything, but nothing never ever happened. So yeah,
they did say at the time, we have a lot more plans for Harvey. They're not coming next league, but there is more planned for Harvey. They did say that. So I mean, we know at some point we're going to learn more about Harvey stuff.
We are also getting 2 div cards that are specific to Harpies, right? We get the Harbinger orb, and then we got the unique thingy, right? The Harbinger unique, like the fragment or whatever, right? It's not like a full unique. So like since the guy doesn't remember anything, I feel like we might start to learn something about the language by restoring the
So
memories.
my thought process went in a completely different way, but now I think yours is better. But
He did anyways.
I was thinking. So we've got Elder and Shaper, and Elder is an agent of decay who removed Shaper's memory. Now, I was thinking that somebody who was an agent of decay had removed this guy's memory, and that we were going to, as we figured it out, start to work out who's behind, or who Decay is, or what organization are putting out agents of decay. Like, I thought we were going in that direction, because there's a lot of information there that we don't know anything about. Like, all we know is that Elder's like a lackey. Like, he's not even like he's just a lackey. He's just an agent of this thing called decay that we don't know anything about. And I thought we were kind of heading. My suspicion was that we were heading down that path. But I kind of like the Harbinger idea better.
Yeah, the hobby idea is awesome.
Yeah,
I really want to know more about Harvey. I just really want to know more.
Okay, and think about it. We get Harbinger shards, right? We get shards for all of the orbs. The items are pieces. The memories are pieces of something bigger memories. So everything is just like they just line up.
Memory fragments, yeah, right. It's a nice analogy that you're drawing there. And it would, what you said, it would tie perfectly into the fact that we're getting these Harbinger divination cards for the Mirror Shard and for the Beachhead.
Oh man, I just want to go through the portal.
Yeah, me too. And also, I want the portal.
I just want to go.
I want it as a map device.
Yeah, that would actually suit the big map device, like none of the other portals do. That'd be great.
My dream is that once we get, hopefully, the next Harby related league, we get the big ass portal as a MTX, as one of the challenger modes.
If you're right, and it's got something to do with Harbinger, we still won't be going through the portal this league.
No.
I think that'll be like a part 3 part of it. If it turns out you're right and it was Harvey related, there'll be a part 3 later on down the road, and eventually we're going to get to go through that portal. I don't know if that's just hopeful thinking, or if it, but I want to go through the portal.
But hobby, let's go.
We're gonna get another beachhead. We do a beachhead, and then from there we go to the portal to get into a better beachhead. That's like a pure beachhead.
Yeah, exactly. Tier 20. Ah.
It's good. I'm not really interested in the lore, but that Harvey thing, I don't know why, but I wanted to have.
Well, it's just interesting to speculate a bit about these lore things and how they could tie into each other, because we never know how far ahead GGG is planning and to what extent they're making stuff up as they go along.
Well, I mean, I don't know if everyone else made this connection ages ago, but I didn't make it until like last week when I saw it on Reddit. Like, someone else made the connection for me, but the PoE logo was actually, it looks like the Mirror of Calandra, who we know nothing about. And like, there's no way with that in mind that Calandra isn't like a huge boss that we're going to fight way later on at some point. Like, right? Like, that's got to be a huge part way down the track. And they had to have known about it right from the word go. So while I don't think they've got a lot of individual leagues planned, I'll bet somewhere in the back of Chris and Jonathan's head, or someone there, is just like an overarching theme of just like, this is a few of the things we're going to do way further on. Like, the specifics I'm sure aren't ironed out, but I'll bet there's like a few years worth of general story ideas sitting in his head that we know nothing about.
I do think they have like at least a handful of leagues planned out, though. Not like completely, and maybe not as concrete next leagues. But I mean, they must have like a bunch of shelved leagues. Just league ideas that are more or less complete with mechanics and maybe even some concept art, and just haven't put them into the game yet, and they haven't put them into a schedule of upcoming leagues yet. But I'd imagine that they have a lot more ideas than they actually end up using. That's where I'm coming from with that.
I'm gonna run and get the station coffee that is on the kitchen. It's like almost 2 hours old now.
Cold coffee, my favorite. Could you? Oh, I couldn't drink cold coffee unless it's got it like one of those pots that heat up and just keep your coffee warm. That'd be
Then
fantastic.
it wouldn't be cold coffee.
Yeah, those would be good though. I want one of them.
I like cold coffee, like with vanilla ice cream and some whipped cream on top. And
That's not coffee. I don't know. What with ice cream?
yeah, just you take the cooled down coffee and you scoop one ball of vanilla ice cream into it, and then let it melt in there and mix it kind of, and top it off with some whipped cream and some chocolate sprinkles. And I mean, it ends up having like 3 or 4 times as many calories as it had normally. But
I gotta ask him if that's cold when he puts his headset back on.
it's called dessert. Okay.
Coffee for
Attention,
me is
Mom.
just caffeine injection.
You don't actually like coffee, or?
No, I do, but I'll drink it if it's been sitting on the bench for 4 hours. I don't even care.
Is your coffee cold, Carv?
Nope,
Do you make a coffee like 2 hours ago and now it's cold?
it's not cold. I just leave the stove, I think, just on. It keeps it warm.
Like one of those automatic drip coffee machines that have like a stove.
Yeah, it's just like it has you have the stove, and then you have the pan on it, and then you just have like one for the on, and then one keeps the stove like hot.
They probably don't have them in Australia.
Should we just leave stuff outside?
I don't know if the stove is the right word, but it's. I'll just send you.
It has a hot plate built in.
Yes, hot plate, and it's just like electric. Let's go with hot plate. I don't know if it's the correct term here, but it's still coffee.
Right, so moving on from that, we have the nice archetypes of builds that they're bringing out now, including Chaos and Holy, which is weird to call it Holy since it's just converted elements. But moving on, ignoring that. We've got the new skills look actually like really good, like the Bane and Soul Rend specifically to me are standing out as like being really, really nice to play with. They look fantastic. I'm not sure how excited I am about the other ones.
Wait, so the archetypes that they're advertising this time, they're like a Chaos Caster, and what was it? The Holy Caster,
Holy or something, yeah. They're converted like. Was it
Holy is like
stuff
physical
that's converted
to fire or lightning, yeah.
Yeah, fire or lightning, yeah. And those ones excite me less than the new Chaos ones. I think only one of them looked really good to me. I forget which one's which. The one that went out in waves looked really good.
Yeah, the way.
Conviction, I think
Is
it's
that
the
what
name.
called? I keep forgetting which one's which name.
Isn't that Soul Rend?
No, Solar Rend's the Chaos one that wiggles.
Oh, okay. We were talking about the holy one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Realize it's
only
muted
one.
half sentence.
One of them kind of
Yeah.
looks like, I guess, like explosive trap, I guess, is what I would compare it to. Like no AoE, basically, right? The other one, the Kamehameha wave,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those really janky ones that's never going to have any good clear speed unless the damage is ridiculous, which it probably isn't.
Basically, just gonna be
And-
like Scorching Ray, not Scorching Ray, Scourge Arrow. So it's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Scourge Arrow kind of has AoE, kind of, but yeah, it's like just gonna massive like single target. If it has a crazy damage, people will use it. That's it.
There is a problem there, though. You can't Mirage Archer this skill, right? So
Yep. But you can
Yeah,
put
so-
it on totems. Kamehameha totems might be okay.
have totems like ever been meta though, like all good?
Ever.
I'm actually
Yeah,
trying to
sure.
think. Yeah.
Like pizza sticks were
How would
meta
it
for
work?
ages.
Did the skill have stages?
Probably
It
the
had a
same
max
as
Wasn't it just-
Blast, right?
charges. It had a
Well, I don't
maximum
remember it having
charge, so I
stages, so-
assume a totem would.
I don't remember. All I want to see is the wave of conviction, whatever the 25 fire lightning converted. I want to see that. I want to see that on like a minefield, where you get like a fucking million of them just like going across the screen and everything. There. I don't know why. I just want to see it. Even if it sucks, I just want to see it.
Even if it does suck, it'll look real good.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because
Yeah.
it had a duration, right? So if you get more AoE, and if you get more duration, it goes like further away. So like get like crazy duration and see how far it goes.
You might get away with it on mines, but it is specifically written as it's got a duration, it'll go a very long way, but if you cast another one, it'll end the first one much sooner.
Oh yeah, that's probably not gonna work then. Fuck.
Yeah, but mines are sometimes weird like that, and they might get away with it because
Because it's
in
like
Yeah,
a
there's
bunch of
different
cases
mines
they all
casting.
count as like individual entities
maybe.
rather than. So you might get away with it on a miner. It might be like each one of them is casting one, and they may just keep going.
That'd be so cool. Also, on that topic, what do you guys think about the? I don't remember the name of the effect, but basically they removed the minus 25 resist from Frostbomb and they replace it with the name for like the. Oh, I don't know if I can remember.
I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called too, but I know the thing you're talking about.
Wait, what? You're talking
Exposure.
That's the one.
Exposure. Exposure is the name.
What's exposure?
So you get the.
Um,
Was it like minus 25? So they changed it Scorching Ray so that when you have the 8 stages, then it applies the exposure. Then they removed like the flat out 25%, 25 minus cold resist from Frostbomb and replace it with cold exposure. And then the wave of conviction was that you could do exposure of whatever elemental did the most damage or something like that.
Yeah, whichever element you do the most damage of with Wave of Conviction will give you exposure of that element, which leads me to it's converted 25% to lightning and 25% to fire. So if I put a 25% conversion to cold on my gloves and I avoid flat elemental damage anywhere, do I then give all 3 kinds of exposure? Since it'll be perfectly evenly split between all 3 elements? I should.
I don't know. Maybe.
I should.
I don't remember. I don't remember the wording of it, like the exposure on the wave of conviction.
I think it will, because you'll have a spell that exactly does 25% fizz, 25% of each element. And since
it's oh yeah. Another thing is it's on when you do damage to a monster, right? Not based on the tooltip damage you have. So if there's a monster that has more fire resist than lightning resist,
yeah,
it would only apply the one that does more damage. So I don't think we're gonna see that unless you go Inquisitor, Visitor, and get the crits going, and then they have no resist when you crit, and then you go. But then again, that's kind of counterproductive unless you're playing an Inquisitor support or
support of some kind. The damage rolls won't matter though, because it'll roll damage as fits, and then
course.
whatever that rolls as will just be equally split. So there's no.
But we don't
long as you
know.
avoid
We
flat.
don't know the damage values. We don't know if it's just a static number. We don't know that. Most likely it won't be, but
mob resistance is something I didn't think of when I was doing that, because you quite often you encounter mobs with like extra cold resist like all the time. Like that happens all the
yeah, all base monsters have their own resistances. Usually, cold mobs, like mobs that do cold damage, have cold resist. So yeah. What do you guys think? Are they going to be changing EE now?
I expect that with these changes. I've been saying that for the last few days. With these changes to how they're working resist, I expect EE to come through with this patch, actually. Because we knew a while ago they wanted to change it.
Yeah, I think this is probably the time they would do it. It's because they're talking about they mentioned like the resist stacking, like the minus resist stacking, so maybe EE is going to get hit now too. Or like, changed.
Is there any ideas how you guys think EE could be changed or how it would be changed? Give it some sort of. I don't know. I really like EE on Ziggy's ring, even though almost no one uses it, because it's local. Because you can actually apply EE for a hitting skill. You just hit with, I don't know, whatever, fireball and debuff their lightning and cold resist, and then whatever skill you use for your damage, if it only does lightning and cold damage, it benefits from it, and it cannot reset the EE because the EE is local and granted only by the ring to the socketed skill. Maybe they can. I wouldn't know how, but maybe they can do it in the passive tree so that it's more usable, because EE is not really a choice in a build, right? It's something that you pick up when you play a degen skill, and that's about it.
What I would like EE to work for is things like wild strike or elemental hit when you're not using jewels and things like that. Like I want EE to work when you're using different elements to actually do damage.
But doesn't it work like that right now?
It does now, but that's kind of all I want it to do, because I don't know, just on the degen builds and whatnot, like we kind of need it right now. Like on a Righteous Fire jug or whatever, without EE, you do significantly less damage, and in a way that it already doesn't do enough damage. So I don't know. It feels mandatory in a lot of things. Like you just have to have it. And yeah, or like on Ignite builds.
Basically any dot build. Any elemental dot build.
If you're an elemental dot build, you pretty much have to have it.
It also means that they have to balance the damage of those builds around the EE.
Yeah. Whereas if you get rid of it for dot builds like that, then you can start buffing the damage of things. You don't have to balance your ignites around it. You don't have to balance your Scorching Ray and Righteous Fire around it. You don't have to do any of it. Not that the cold dot occultist needs less damage or more. It's really good. We don't have any lightning damage over time, though. I'd like to see that, just by the way. I don't know how you'd warrant it.
Well, just like the shock and horror lightning beam. Give us that skill.
I just want them to give us the ailments that were introduced this path specific to the uniques in a different way. I really dislike the fact that they use. Yeah, there were like, wasn't there like 3 different ones?
I only remember brittle.
Yeah, I don't remember what they do. I just remember that we had them from the unique.
Scorch would have been useful. I saw Scorch and I was like, oh no, I can see this being useful. And then the only way to get it was this complete garbage helm that I was just never going to wear. And I was like, well, it's useful, but it's not that useful. I'm just not going to do it.
I mean, they could also buff the item that has it to a level where people would actually want to use it more. But yeah, I just kind of want we would have more options to get it. Yeah, Scorched, Brittle, Sapped. One of them gave like crit chance. One was it increased damage? I don't actually remember. That's how irrelevant they have been since the introduction that I don't even remember what they are.
was just less res or something.
I got them up on the screen right now.
Sapped was less damage taken, and I forget what Brittle was.
Brittle is up to 20% critical strike chance against brittle enemies based on the cold damage of the hit, which inflicted Brittle for 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's used them at all.
Well, the thing is they only appear on unique items, right?
Yep, just the 3 helms, that's it.
So this Scorch does stack with the Scorching Ray stacks? Or is Scorching Ray now also scorched?
No, I don't think it is. Not at the moment.
Stack.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of counterintuitive to have 2 sources of scorching on an enemy.
Yeah, but Scorching Ray isn't scorching.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
called
called scorching.
Skill that applies a damage over time that's fired that's not even burn. Well, it's burn. It's not even ignite or anything like that. It's just a burn that can also
fire
stack
damage
with any
over time.
other burn. Yeah. Yeah, they would have all been interesting. The only problem was that they were all on really bad helmets that just weren't any good. And helmets are a really good spot, and enchants go on helmets, and no one's enchanting those helmets because that would be just a really terrible idea, and so just no one ended up using them. If they were on something like even like a glove slot or something like that, maybe. But even then,
how about the new
it needs to be a few
synthesis like mod? Maybe implicit.
Yeah, like an implicit on something I can roll, then I would look into using them. The problem is one of them you lose the ability to freeze. If you want to do the cold one, you lose the ability to freeze. If you want to use the lightning one, you lose the ability to shock, which is a huge damage loss. The only one that looked good to me was Scorch.
Wait, where does it say that you lose the ability to apply the ailment?
Because if you can Scorch, then you can no longer ignite.
Where does it say that?
Then you can no longer shock.
But that's on the unique helmets.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, that's...
Yeah, so the only one that's good is Scorch, because if you're not an Ignite build, then the Ignite that you get by accident is irrelevant. Like, if you're not scaling Ignite, then you don't give a shit about Ignite. So losing that for Scorch is good, but the other two, I don't want to lose Freeze. If my build can freeze, I don't want to give that up. Like, I generally go out of my way to make sure that I can freeze things. Like...
Well, but yeah, if we get it as an implicit, that would be interesting, or at least for some builds, like you said. I mean, the giving up cold's potential to freeze enemies, probably not very attractive, just for a little bit of critical strike chance. Although that's plus critical strike chance, right? That's additive. Yeah, it's still not worth giving up the freeze. But yeah, guys, what do you guys think of the implicits that we saw so far now that we've mentioned them? Synthesis implicits on the items, or on the basis that we can synthesize from items with broken mods.
They're pretty crazy.
Implicits.
They're pretty crazy, but I really hope that we won't be able to get them on Shaper and Elder items, so that there will be at least an argument that there's going to be some competition between the items.
I believe I
Obviously,
recall
you can
Chris saying on the Bay class that he doesn't know 100% sure and he hasn't asked or consulted with the team.
He implied that he said that since the memories are like not maps.
Yeah, they're not part of the maps.
Elder and Shaper item drop from the map, so therefore they shouldn't. But then when you throw the curveball with how about Delve is a completely different thing, and you still be able to get Elder and Shaper items from them. So.
And there are global mods on the synthesis stuff that drops Elder and Shaper items.
Yeah, now that you say that, yeah, I didn't remember that.
And at the beginning of that sentence on Bay class, he said, "I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. I think they'll be able to."
And then he transitions to the answer is either obviously yes or obviously no.
Yeah. I feel like the answer is obviously no, because having them compete is a really good idea. Like Carl said, like if I have to choose between this really, really good implicit or a supported by item for my Shaper or Elder thing, like that's a good choice. And that's taking it away from being straight up power creep to more of a sideways move, which
but that's the same that we have right now with Stitch and Vice Abyssal Socket belts versus belts that can spawn as either Shaper or Elder base. And during Abyss League, we were able to get Abyssal Socket belts as Shaper or Elder base during the league itself.
True.
Hey, you still technically can by double corrupting it. You just can't roll it afterwards.
You gotta get real lucky.
wasn't one of the one of the cases that it turns into Elder or Shaper item. So technically, there's a chance you could get something, but
God, how you'd have to get so lucky.
We were so hyped when we they thought about the double corruption outcomes. Wasn't that that you can turn an item into Elder and Shaper item, because we were like, oh shit, we can't get Elder and Shaper Stygian voices anymore, but
wait.
we could turn enough of them and then do the 5-1.
5-1, yeah.
But they removed it.
Does that work?
They removed it.
Oh.
Before the league even started, I think, or was it in for a while and then they removed it? I don't remember exactly.
I don't know. In the 5-1 is like during that league, I think I was buying belts. I was buying bricked versions of Elder's shitty belt for 1C and buying them for 5C and then selling them for an Elder leather belt and then selling that leather belt for 80 chaos. I did 25 times. The 5-1 recipe was fantastic. I was just turning 5C into 80C just over and over again.
Another easy way of making money in Beast was, I didn't know, at least two of my friends were just buying the mirrors, and they were just mirroring high item level Elder and Shaper amulets and then just selling them for a crazy price. It's like the one guy doing the crazy jeweled foil, when he had Monopoly for the market for I don't remember how much DPS it was. It was Merciless plus Celebration, and then he just multi-modded and then split it with the PS3 craft.
Yeah. So, what about the leech to energy shield stuff? We've seen that on a few pieces now.
Actually, before you go there,
yeah,
I wonder if we're able to split synthesized items. Imagine you have
split the broken mods.
Yeah, no, the implicit item with the implicit, and again we split them, so we had two of the items with the implicit.
Yeah, I mean, when you split an item, you don't split the implicit; it just gets duplicated. So if you can split them, then you'll have.
Oh, you mean so if you have a very desirable base?
Yeah. Let's say that you get the fucking crazy curse effect or something like that. Would be able to split it? Sounds like a crazy amount of money. Maybe we should just talking about it right now, so you guys can try it.
Yeah, I would like to assume that it would be turned off
me too. But knowing GDG, this might be just one of those things that slipped through the the thinking phase about that.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I would say it's disabled. I think it's like Chris was saying, it's going to be pretty hard to get these implicits right. So I think
good
they're going
ones.
to turn it off.
I mean,
That will bypass.
This might just be the thing that lasts for like 2 days or something like that, and then then we get the Reddit uproar because one dude
that happens
made
pretty
like
often.
yeah.
Like
There's somebody able to
2 or
split
3
these
people
tomorrow.
total will figure it out, and they'll just like split like 20 of them and be like rich as hell.
And then they
and
change
then
it.
GG will be like, "Whoops, forgot, sorry," and then they'll fix it, and no one else will be able to do it. That does happen a lot.
What do you guys, speaking of that, what do you guys think about legacy items mid league? Like that's like for example the is it Aisling? Yeah, Aisling like double. Like you basically, I mean, look at the dance like cast and grip bow, right? It's literally a legacy item in Temp League.
I hate that they did that mid league.
Me too.
I understand that it needed to be done, and I think the place to do it was when we changed leagues. I think it was too late. People had made items that were like brokenly strong, and we should have just let other people make them. Because now someone like, we used a Dan's bow as an example. I had the money to make that bow like a month after. That's a fantastic bow. But I can't make that anymore, even though it's in the same league. And I'm like, but now I've got all of this money and I could have made this thing, but the only way to make it just doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
And I was playing softcore at the time, so it's not like I could even mirror his because it was in hardcore. So I just didn't get to have an awesome bow like that.
Well, you could go to where softcore goes into hardcore, then bite and oh wait, never mind.
And take it to standard
Go on.
with me.
Take it to standard.
Go on. Just talk about it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I hate that they
hope
changed
you're
it
cutting
midweek.
this. I hope you're cutting this part, okay?
Cutting it into a highlight.
I think people understand far less of these little slip ups then. You think, but could you quickly fill in for me, because what exactly did they change that made Dan, that enabled Dan to make a godlike bow that no one else could make? So what's the difference between then and now?
There's a few things, but the main thing is you were able to craft over the top of crafts on a multi-modded item, which is not... I don't think that's how Dan's bow was made. There's a different thing, I think, for that. I'm not positive, but that's how they made a lot of foils and stuff like that. If you would multi-mod something and have a bunch of mods on it at the beginning of the league, if you rolled a low fizz percentage on your crafted or whatever, you would just craft that again for the cost of 1 scour and like 3 chaos or whatever the hell the price is. And it would just replace that one mod on the multi-crafted one, and you could roll that over and over again until it was perfect. And then you could just roll the next one over and over again until it was perfect.
Oh, that's fucking stupid.
So it was like divining each individual thing rather than the whole item at once, and it was
because they turned it into one option to replace a mod with the same or with a new mod, or whereas before you would have had to remove mod and craft again, and you would have removed the entire multi-mod, and now you could replace single ones with better rolls. That okay?
You're saying it might have been just Ashling's.
It wasn't multi-mod. You got a form. You got a formed item, and then you double Aisling, like bench crafted it. You get 2 Ace, like at the unveiled mods, and then you could recraft those 2 veiled mods
until they were perfect
over and over.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't even have to remain the same mods. It didn't matter what 2.
Yeah, you could change the mods. Yeah,
different ones.
Yeah, because you could craft. Yeah, like it was like literally just like 2 crafted mods in an item. And then no, at least they mentioned, like I'll give you that they at least mentioned that being a change, but they did another change to the craft mods. It was something to do with, was it like a bleed chance plus flat physical damage or something like that? I think that and the normal flat physical were stacking together, I think, and they just like stealth removed that from happening, I think.
Yeah, I think that was it. There was something that stacked that wasn't supposed to, that they changed mid-league, but it took people from making like insane foils to then making just like these are okay. Everyone else can just make sort of okay ones. But if you were making them in the first week, you've got some like insane ones sitting there.
Yeah.
I just don't like that they changed it mid-league. Like that, it was like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in, 3 weeks in. I don't remember exactly when, but I figure if things like that, it had been out long enough that I was just like, that should just stay for the rest of the league. Like, just let other people do it as well, because yeah, having legacy items inside a league that were legacy from the beginning of that league feels just kind of weird.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to take a stance on that because it's weighing integrity and fairness for everyone against the overall health of the league economy and ultimately probably to some extent also the permanent league economy, although it's hard to believe that's a focus or a concern when thinking about balance changes like the permanent leagues.
The point, I guess, the point is that usually they don't do that, and now they did it. Like they just like they don't usually make legacy items mid league. They just kind of leave the things be.
That's true. I remember a similar uproar when, but that's of course to a way smaller extent, when they introduced Volatile Dead, and they instantly nerfed the enchant that they released with 3 additional to 2 additional or something like that. Wasn't that the VD enchant was on release 3?
Wasn't that before the league started though? Wasn't that for like we could, or was it like actually league? I don't remember.
I think it was inside the league.
I was playing the build. I was so excited, and they nerfed it like the moment I got the helm. I was sad.
Was that change? Did it like change like all of the existing? Or
yeah, it didn't create a legacy. It just
so
nerfed the enchant.
Yeah, that's a bit different then, I think.
Yeah, but it's still at the time it was a very rare occurrence of them changing things in the ongoing league.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but I think these are a bit like still, but I think I would separate them still.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good for pointing that out. Steel, you wanted to add something?
I was just saying, I bought that helm. I had that enchant. I was so excited. Theory crafted the build. I was like, yeah, this is OP. This is nerfed the day after I started the build.
I mean, it went from it basically went from insanely OP to almost insanely OP.
Oh no, it's still it's like my favorite build of the league, but
did they like they removed like 1 projectile from it, right? How much of a damage nerf was that?
Like 20% less damage or something like that. I can't remember. It still sucks though.
Yeah, sure.
But see, a lot of people complain like I just paid 10x for this helm enchant. They were still like 10x. They were still like the VD helm enchant is still super expensive. So
it's still one of the best helm enchants for skills out there, right? I mean, what is the base amount of corpses? 2 or 3, and then you get 2 additional.
3 to 4.
3 to 4.
It's 1 additional now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 1 additional, and I think it was like 2. Is that right?
I thought it was 2 on the Uber Lab and 1 on the Merciless, but I might be wrong because I have no idea. I never played the skill.
I believe they actually got rid of the Merc enchant, and you can only it's an Uber Lab only one.
You can only get it on Uber, and it's 1.
Yeah.
But it's still like it's literally like 33% more damage. For that skill.
That's what I was gonna point out because
it's straight up more damage.
Yes, the 2 additional was like. Like I remember giggling like this is so OP, GGG doesn't know math, ha 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 ha. They got me in the end, didn't they?
That's why they nerfed it to show you.
They're actually you specifically waiting for you to buy one.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they hit it.
Got him.
Yeah, these enchants are a little bit like extraordinary when they add additional projectiles to projectile skills or stuff like that. Also, I remember back in Legacy when I played Fire Nova Mine, I think they never changed it because it was never a problem skill again. But the chance or what was it? Fire no that triggers an additional time, and normally it triggers like 2 or 3 times, and it adds an entire wave on top of it. So it's like that basically 33% or more damage. And if you compare that to some other skills that at best give
40% increased damage.
Exactly, yeah. Feels bad, man.
Speaking of that, imagine now having Bone Helm and being able to enchant it. Oh man, dude.
Yep, enchanted
Solo
bone helps.
self-found,
Let's go.
The solo self-found player in me just, oh god, dude, that's so good.
Yeah, especially with the spiritual aid, bone helmet on every build. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're running lab enchants this league, you no longer pick up like Elderbergenets or however you say that armor helmet name. You just pick up like Elder and Shaper bone helmets now. That's the go-to.
First of all, good luck getting those helms. They're extremely rare.
Right? Yeah, they're gonna be expensive.
And you don't have to get that. You get double corruption in your helm instead with the enchant.
Yep, that's another option. Oh, double corruptions with enchants. Oh my god. There's going to be so much money wasted.
I didn't look at it from that point of view.
I'm going to waste so much money.
We're going to get some nice little double corruption clips, boys.
Well, we also don't know yet whether maybe the 40% increased damage on a bone helmet are going to be overshadowed by some huge synthesized implicit mods.
Of course.
Which we're then still going to double corrupt.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just thinking when you can get something like 2 minimum frenzy charges on a shield that normally had like what, stun and block recovery, or not even an implicit mod.
Oh yeah, some of them. 2 to minimum frenzy charges on a shield that's pretty. Like I assume that it could be on any shield, not just that shield.
Most likely.
But that's. If you had no way of generating frenzy charges before, and that's really. And if they exist for other things, like 2 minimum power charges, or something instead, that.
Then craft power charges on your rings, amulets, and get 5 charges. Let's go.
5 minimum power charges out of 3 max.
But if you can do that, if you can sit at your max as a minimum and not have to generate them ever, that's really useful.
But shouldn't your if you bypass your maximum with the minimum, wouldn't it override? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question that I was trying to pose.
I assume that your maximum still counts and that it just doesn't go over the max. Yeah, but maybe. That's just an assumption. Like, I don't know.
Well, the maximum is the maximum that you can ever reach, and the minimum is the minimum that you always have at the very least. So, just in my head, no, it's hard to say what takes priority.
I would assume it's maximum caps it. But yeah, hey, Balor, you mentioned something about the energy shield leads, like, I don't know, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. We've seen that on a few things. We've seen it on Jewels, which is going to be easily enough to get cap on Leech. And then on the new Chaos skill, just straight up energy shield lead. And like there's all these things with energy shield leech that we really haven't had access to before without gutting the occultist. Like you had to gut the occultist's benefits to pick up energy shield leech by taking Ghost Reaver, and now you don't have to do that. And now you can have regen, occultist recharge, and leech all on your energy shield, and that seems really strong.
I really like it. I really like the ES leech from the point of view of EB builds, like EBMOM builds.
Oh yeah.
Thinking about making like non-occultist, like EB build sounds kind of cool. Just because of the leech for your ES pool, and then you can reserve all your mana pool, and not worry about your mana issues.
And the good thing about that would be just one, like it's the equivalent of mana leech in that case. So just one jewel.
Yeah, exactly.
2 is more than enough. Like that's it. You're done.
Imagine all your caster builds having issues with mana leech. No, just get that. I mean, just go EBMOM and get that jewel. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if we're gonna have it somewhere else too, or just a jewel. Then we had the skill and the gloves, the unique gloves. I mean, the jewel alone in Trade League will most likely be easily like obtainable for anyone who actually wants one. I think.
Yeah, it should be, and you shouldn't you should be able to leech cap without very many of them. I don't know if one would be enough, but for most builds, 3 would be more than enough.
Yeah, it sounds so crazy that they're actually buffing ES builds now, though. It's like occultist being what it is, and
But outside of occultist, ES isn't really that great. Like, there's a few specific things that do really well, like
Chug, like Hoba, Chug. It's pretty
yeah,
good.
alright. So like Hauer does pretty well out
Yeah.
of anything. And then you can do CI or low life sabs, and they go pretty well. And then
The leech
especially
doesn't
like
really help
first
with
fort
them,
with
though.
them. But yeah, leech
Unless
isn't going to help them. But
tricksters, though. Maybe we'll start seeing like a lot more ES based tricksters.
Or scions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, does a life leech does not stop on full life apply to energy shield?
No,
Oh.
No.
because it's not.
Unfortunately, you can't overleech
It doesn't stop on full energy shield. It's on full life. The full on full life is not a.
But you're always on full life, so it does not stop. No, sorry, that's stupid.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't travel over. I tried to make a build like that once.
No,
Got very disappointed.
I have a literal GDT response to this from a long time ago. If you want me to go find it, but I don't know. It may take a while because I made a private league at some point, and you know what happens when people
Yep. No.
request access. So yeah, it might take a while for me to find it. But yeah, I have the actual explanation from Mark.
You can paraphrase it maybe.
I mean, it's just that the on full life doesn't get converted over to on full ES because it's not a leech modifier. Like you have the life leech, you have the life leech rate, you have the maximum life leech per second.
Exactly.
Those
Which all get converted to energy shield. Yeah.
Yeah. But on full life is not a leech value. It's literally just is your full life full or not. It's had nothing to do with actual leech mechanic, in the sense. It just removes the ceiling from your leech. That's it. Like when your leech hits the ceiling, which is your max HP, that just gets removed. But you don't have that removal of ceiling from your ES pool. So let's say that you have that, you would have that, you would leech your life continuously even when your ES or life is full, but the ES won't because you don't remove the cap, the ceiling from it. I don't know if I explain it well, but that's the only way I can really explain it in any way.
That made sense. I'm only slightly concerned that it's going to make occultist even more OP than it is.
I wonder if they're going to nerf something about it. Yes, with the addition of the leech.
Or at least occultist specifically.
Yeah. Imagine occultist ascendancy node, the good ascendancy nodes getting something not be able to lead ES or something like that. I don't fucking know. That wouldn't make sense because Ghost River exists. Right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but I think just the value that you get out of just from the little notes out of being a fully ascendant occultist, that 32% increased ES, and then if you go the ES regen mechanic path, that's another 250 flat. That's so incredibly juicy, especially in solo cell phone. If you want to go CI, you basically don't even need a good chess piece. You get the 250 ES from occultist. But it would be great if that gives other classes to like a chance to close up in power potential for CI or for ES based builds in general.
I do like that ES is coming back in without becoming the only option, like it kind of was before. Like people did life builds before, but not really like competitively. Is that the right word? I don't know. Like it was just pretty mandatory. Like every build was just sort of like, how do I get over to Valpact and CI, and that was it. And I like that moved, but I also didn't like that it became everyone was a life build. And now it's sort of like you can do either, and I'm a fan of that. I just hope they don't push it too much in a direction again that it becomes everybody go CI again.
I'm pretty sure this change is gonna. I mean, unless I'm missing something big, it's just gonna push occultist over the edge. It's gonna be stupid. I don't know. We must be missing something. It's gonna be like you gotta like get some like uber elder level synthesized item, so it's super rare or something. I don't know.
But like, imagine that CI occultist with like 20,000 energy shield on its own, and now you get 20% ES leech on top of everything you just already had.
I know it's gonna be exactly the same way it was before, except maybe a little less accessible because you need Dell fossils, which is not a big deal, and then you need this jewel, right, or this mod. So I think unless we're missing something, because I mean maybe GG. I mean I assume GGG knows this is ridiculous. That's why we don't have. That's why Ghost Fever was nerfed.
How much damage
So
do you
unless
need in order to cap out your leech on a 20k ES build?
Depends what your maximum leech rate per second is.
Well, per default, it's 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of ways to increase it? There's Elder Amulets, right?
There's Wallback at the Pantheon. You can increase it with energy shield recovery rate, but that doesn't really need more extra damage. It's just a multiplier on top. But
Exactly.
But it becomes really easy to cap though, because if you think about it, like what 20% of your 20,000 energy shield. What is that? 4,000? Did I just math wrong?
Yeah, no, sounds correct.
That's 4,000.
So how would they nerf it then? How like what would they do? Would they just like reduce ES numbers or do something else?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, even if they got rid of all the flat ES on occultist, it still wouldn't matter. You just run an occultist anyway, and people would be upset about it. It would just all it would do would be it would make an early game harder to transition into CI, and it would do nothing, pretty much, to the like late game fully geared occultist. You'd still just do the same thing. I don't know how you would balance that. I feel like it's going to be really good for other builds that aren't occultists. Will be able to get into doing CI a lot easier, and having easy access to that leech is going to be fantastic for them. But it's just going to knock occultists just up that one level again, and it was already way in front. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe there's patch notes to come. Maybe they'll nerf occultist in some way that I haven't thought of to
And
make
balance
up for it a
and
little.
the manifesto, right? Is it that like Tuesday?
I think so, yes.
Right.
On Wednesday is the patch notes. Monday is
Yeah.
league challenges. So Tuesday could be the day.
By the way, what do you guys think about them not actually telling what the challenges are? They're just showing the rewards. I really hate that they not giving us what the actual challenges are. We have to wait for the league to start. That's like, that's been like that for a couple of weeks now, I think. We don't actually know the challenges before the league starts.
I didn't notice. I was not aware. I never cared much about challenges, so that's basically.
Did you remember there's this one or two guys who like make the Reddit post where they're explain like how to make the challenges and how easy / hard they're to get and tips how to do them, and they were like just whining about it on Reddit like a couple last weeks, I think. Like, why are they doing it? I guess is my question. Like, what are they gaining from it? from not like telling us what they are.
More time to finalize them? To get 4 more days to I don't know, that's the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, I don't know. A few less days of Reddit complaining.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. They're gonna hide the complaints about it because people are too busy complaining about something else at the start of the league.
Yeah.
So
or posting
those
screenshots
complaints-
of the new implicits
Yeah.
that they found.
Yeah, so those complaints are gonna be only like later in the league when people started to realize that they're getting fed up of needing to do a gazillion billion Atlas daily like objectives, not daily objectives, but objectives, and how long it takes them.
That objective one was insane though. I
Yeah.
didn't even do it. I looked at it and I started doing it and did it for a few days and then I was like, nah. I don't need 40.
Yeah, the people who really wanted to do it made characters in several leagues, so they can farm more than the daily Atlas objective that they get in just
It's fine.
one league.
It's actually slower than even if you would have to be like literally be able to get character to maps in 3 hours for it to be in a new league, where it would be worth over just doing like city squared boss running. Because the chance was like, I don't remember exactly the percentage of it was what it was, but it was like way better than just leveling new characters in leagues. Like the time invested.
Wait, but you could force Atlas objectives to spawn by just running maps? That's what you say?
Atlas objectives have a chance to spawn when you complete the map. So if you run maps fast, you'll spawn Atlas objectives.
Exactly,
So
but would that be better than running a new character where you get new
that
ones
was
every day?
that was better. That was better.
Okay.
Time invested.
But you only have to invest time once into leveling the character, and then you get everyday objectives. Whereas...
Yeah, but the time that you level a character, you could have spawned multiple, like so many.
Like if you're speed running maps, you're supposed to be like a 30% chance to spawn something or whatever. So
I think it was like 6. I think it was 16, and now they're buffing to 20%.
Right,
like 4%.
So one in every like
master.
6 to 8 maps or something like that.
So now it's going to be 1 in 5.
Yeah, I remember, and the missing point 3% for Quilson or something like that.
Oh no. Let's not go into that. I'm carried away with that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we haven't talked about handcasting yet. I mean, we can talk for hours probably about that, but not get anywhere. But Steel, what are you looking forward to handcasting next league?
Stormbrand forehead. I mean, mechanically speaking, you're just going to play Stormbrand, right? I mean, what would they have to do to bring something like, I don't know, Stormcall or Fire to the level of Stormbrand? I don't know, dude.
You would have to bring its damage up. Everything in this all with damage.
Yeah,
like, if you
or
give something
make the
enough
AoE
damage, it doesn't matter how awkward it is. I will use it. If you give it enough damage, I will use any amount of awkward skill.
I have an idea. What if killing bosses isn't mandatory? What if you get like a Val skill that like clears the entire clears multiple screens with one button press, and you just like use shield charge and you zoom through the map? Or yeah. Well, how about we do that? We'll call it Val Fireball and Val Storm, Val Spark. Yeah. Let's bring back that. Yeah.
So you're saying only those could compare with Stormbrand? Because from what I've heard, I haven't played a whole lot of Stormbrand myself, but I think RiceQT brought up the point that, yes, Stormbrand is mechanically superior and the damage is really good early on in the game, but later on in maps he was arguing it's not as good as it seems because it needs quite a lot of investment to keep clearing the content, where other things would have better damage. Did he just say that to get the GGG nerf office off the trail so you could continue exploiting it, or is there actually some truth to that?
Almost definitely.
Like you can literally just use if like the boss damage was the only issue. I mean, well, of course you can gear past it, but like let's say that you don't have crazy gear levels, you just get like a wall stormcall or something like that, and just, everything dies. Or like lightning spire trap.
Yeah,
You don't.
I mean,
you use it for clear. You don't need it to use it to kill, like destroy every boss immediately.
you can tell that it's powerful even up into endgame by that shape erase that happened in how many hours was that? Was that 12 and a half?
15 or something.
15.
15, yeah.
But-
15 was it? 15.
But
To
you
be-
could,
Yeah, sorry, go.
you could totally do like 10. I think Garata and me agree 10 hours is possible.
If you don't
Which
roll,
is-
In
better
this
RNG.
league with the access to Harvey Orbs.
Yeah, with Harvey Orbs.
and if you don't roll Harbinger onto your tier 16s.
To be fair, we still got access to Harvey Orbs. It's just, yo, chat, give me some Harvey Orbs. Yo, chat. Just won't be able to farm them so easily ourselves, right?
I mean, in trade league, it's super easy to get in there. Like, it's just like there usually isn't a reason to rush it like that. Like, it doesn't matter if you get there in like 8 hours or 15 or 24 hours. Really, it doesn't really make a big difference because the majority of the people who would want to buy something from it, don't really have the access to buying it yet at that
Like
point.
you get yourself a server announcement, but you're not going to make significantly more money getting in there in 15 hours. And if it takes me 24, like I'm still going to be in a trade league. If you start farming it at 24 hours instead of 15, it's not going to make a big difference.
But think of the
You're
Vedic
still gonna
karma,
make a much
dude.
more-
Vedic karma.
You know what was great karma? Entering the dank den first and then dying immediately at the start of it. So I got the
Dank?
Karv has entered dank den and then Karv has died. That was good karma, dude. I think I have the screenshot somewhere still.
Screenshot of the rip or of the Reddit karma?
Right. So, what needs to happen to hand casting to make it good? And I think the answer is cast speed. I don't think all their damage problems. I don't think that's really the problem. I don't think it was horrible. I think it's cast speed. Like Stormbrand works so well because you only need to cast it once and it stays attached to things, so you don't need to worry about cast speed. That's the reason why things on mines and traps and stuff go better. Like Arc is a decent self-cast skill, and people get through with Arc, cast self-casting it just fine. But if you put it on mines, it becomes OP. Why? Because you can get like 9 casts off every half a second instead of casting it. I think cast speed is the problem with self-cast. I think base cast speed nearly needs to be doubled on most of these spells to be, or halved, depending on what way you look at it. Whatever way you want to call that, it needs to be casting twice as.
On that note, this is how good Stormbrand is, right? Arc, you place your mines up to 4 with the Helm enchant, clears multiple screens potentially, right? Because they're off screens with the chaining. That's ridiculous damage, ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous single target. Stormbrand still shits on it. I'm sorry. Like what the?
Yeah, it's just mobility. You move and then you just storm like recall every now and then and it's a game.
Yeah.
How much of the smoothness and OP of it do you feel is from the brand recall being truly instant and not making you stop?
None, actually. Seriously, like none.
Really?
It has a crazy attachment range. So it's pretty fucking insane.
Like Don't get me wrong. I know. I haven't even see. That's the thing. I don't get in these races because I don't know. I haven't actually played Stormbrand into like the true sort of like GG end game. Like I'm talking like an Uberdan style build here. So I haven't got the empowered recall where it's just like you spamming that the whole way through, so you don't have to recast it. But because it's one cast, like it is still quite fast. Like you're talking about cast speed. I'm pretty sure the cast speed on Stormbrand, because you do want to stack it, is still pretty good. It feels totally fine without recall. Like my recall usage in these races is probably subpar, and it really doesn't make much of a difference.
Sweet. I assumed that a lot of it, because I haven't really done a lot of branding. I thought that a lot of it was because of brand recall being instant
like in these
and refreshing durations and stuff.
in
They
these
could
races,
probably remove it, and it would still be one of the most played.
yeah, like what is it like it feels like well, I don't know how long the actual cooldown is. I just know it's too long for me to like make a big deal out of using it all the time when I'm doing these races. Again, because I don't have it like max level with the empower and all that, and it's still like 700 mil an hour, right? Like level 85 in 6 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous.
So basically, with it being so ridiculous and other skills basically already being so strong that no matter whether you use Stormbrand or another skill, you're gonna just use one cast and you're gonna kill everything, with the difference that Stormbrand kills even more because it attaches to new enemies. And we already know that Chris said that there's not gonna be a lot of nerfs. So it's gonna be the same next league, right? Because they can't there's no way that they can buff other skills in a significant way to close the gap.
Well,
they mechanically
could.
really good. Yeah, they could, but they would have to they would have to like. I think they would have to buff arc damage and like half the gas time or something like that for it to compete. And even then,
how
it
much
would be
damage
really
would you
hard
need to put on freezing pulse to make that feel as good as?
It's not really about the damage. It's just the how it clears and the mechanics and everything.
And the worst problem is, right? Let's say you get other skills to match or beat Stormbrand. Stormbrand's still so safe on bosses. It's still so safe because you're just focused on mechanically dodging or every ability.
Mechanically nice, the skill.
It's basically like a damage over time build, like Essence Drain Contagion, with the difference that it does damage.
It's closer to a totem build that benefits from all of the self-cast stuff and leech, and the totems don't die and they move around on their own as well, and it's kind of mechanically insane. Like I just don't know. I don't know how much damage I would have to add or speed I would have to add to something like freezing pulse to make it.
I think the only way to really want to make other people play others is to either reduce the damage so much of it on Stormbrand that you have to get good gear before it starts to do anything, or you have to mechanically change it somehow. I think that's the only two options to make other people not play it as much.
Yeah. I was really hoping for the race meta to change up again.
That being said, they could buff the damage of other skills by enough. Maybe. It's like real. I mean, the problem is right now Stormbrand scales so well into all the way up until about red maps, and then that's when it starts to fall off. Like yellow maps, it starts to fall off, but that's only because we're at yellow maps in like 5 hours, right? You wait like an extra hour or two.
Level 72.
So it only falls off, like you were saying, at red maps, and again maybe maybe at that point you might be playing some big massive I don't know. Maybe that's when that soul render. Maybe that's when that picks up over something like Stormbrand. Maybe.
I feel like what's going to happen is people are just going to use it for clear, and then they're just going to use the new buff skill for hitting the target. That's like my guess.
The Lightning Spire Trap is also pretty insane.
If they nerf Spire, if they
fast.
nerf Spire, then people just use Flamethrower Trap instead. It's not even a big damage difference.
Yeah, and if you nerf all of those sort of things, they'll end up finding something else from self-cast, whether it be
And you go Explosive
Stormcall
Trap
with
and
extra damage, or Explosive Trap, or
I've always wondered,
Yeah,
does
Fire Trap
Explosive
if you have
Trap
to,
hold up in
like-
maps? Because Explosive Trap is
Explosive
pretty insane damage early on, but does a single
Explosive
target...
Trap absolutely insane damage because how you can stack the amount like explosion on the target.
It's just really awkward to aim is the
Yeah.
main reason that it's not used. That people don't keep using that because it's very finicky on a very small area. But if you hit with them, it does stupidly good damage.
It's also crazy damage with like shit like non-chaos as chaos because it had a base conversion. Let's say you slap in like Fist Lightning on that, now you get that damage twice. So it's just really nice. Damage stealing. It's just insane.
Hmm.
It just doesn't have any AoE. That's why people don't really use it.
Yeah. I still think the biggest problem with the rework is going to be cast speed. It feels like it doesn't matter how much damage they put on self-cast things.
And mana cost,
If
I
it
feel
doesn't-
like.
If it
Because
doesn't come
mana
cast quick
issues.
enough, I'm just not going to... Yeah.
It's that, and
I mean,
then I think mana costs.
I'm kind of assuming that with there being like jewels that have energy shield leech, that there's also going to be synthesis jewels that have mana leech, and I'm just kind of assuming that that's not going to be a problem.
Oh wow!
I don't know
Yeah,
if that's too
that would
much
be
of an
insane.
assumption, but
I want that now that they mentioned it.
yeah, I just kind of assume that there's going to be mana leech, just generic mana leech.
Generic mana leech?
synthesis mods.
Generic sounds a bit
energy
crazy.
shield leech. Come on, what?
I would see that as maybe spell damage mana leech. I don't think they would just.
Maybe.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. At this point, they can do anything, and I'm not gonna.
I mean, there's a chest implicit that gives you an endurance charge every second if you've been hit recently. Giving me generic mana leech is not a stretch.
I mean, they're not giving you generic ES leech, right? They're just giving you spell damage energy leech. So I don't know. Yeah, that's the best. Like just I said, they could do anything, and at this point, I think I'm not gonna be too surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think at least spell mana leech will be, and if they don't, you'll just end up EB, like you said earlier.
But doesn't that... I mean, spell mana leech, isn't that just like Warlord's Mark?
I mean, yeah.
With the exception that, Warlord's Mark for Life Leech is not as great because your average life pool is way bigger than your average mana pool. But it's the same percentage for both. So I would assume that it's more sufficient on mana leech. I don't know. I guess the bottom line is just people don't want to use Warlord's Mark for leech because it feels like a lackluster solution. They can just use a jewel.
A lot of people don't like the fact that if you have curse immunes and shit like that, then you don't get it. It's just like it's not 100% consistency. So, I mean, a lot of people use it because it's one of the best ways to do it. So, like one of the few ways to do it. So, you don't really have an option.
Totems are what bothers me the most with Warlord's Mark as a leech problem. Is that for some inexplicable reason, totems are magically immune to curses at all times. So there's just certain things you just come up to, and no matter how powerful you are, you just can't do it because your entire build is focused around being able to leech, and then now you can't anymore because the curse was the only way you did it. So it's just this individual content here that's well under the level of your gear you just can't kill anymore.
Just wear Cost Priest roll forehead.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Totems
volcano
are
boss
immune
lol.
to curses. Yeah, like the volcano boss. It just doesn't.
Oh,
get
okay,
cursed.
no,
Doesn't matter what you
totem.
are.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't get cursed. There's no way around it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, that's true. There's certain bosses that you can just not curse. I feel like there was something that Chris Wilson said, or like that was presented about the fact that they consider taking leagues out or rotating them out because the game is getting too convoluted.
Yeah, see now, the one bit that got me about that, which is specifically something I wanted to make sure we brought up here, was they referred to taking away some of the league mechanics as something that might be seen controversially. It might be controversial when they remove certain things, and to me, that implies that on the horizon they may be taking out some things we really enjoy, like Breach or
I don't think they're gonna do that.
Beyond, or like
I don't
one
think
of these
anyone
good
enjoys
things.
Breach anymore now that the mobs don't drop anything and
I still enjoy
breaches don't
Breaches.
spawn anything.
I mean, that is easily fixed by unnerving it a bit.
I still enjoy Breaches when I see them in maps.
Yeah.
Do other people not?
I've always
Depends a
been
bit.
more of
Depends
an
a bit
Abyss guy.
where you see it.
Yeah. Sorry. I still enjoy Breaches when I see them in a place where they can actually open and enter terrain that can spawn mobs, at least.
Yeah, I've always been more of an Abyss kind of guy. Abyss is really nice. The monsters hit hard. It's a lot of physical damage.
Yeah, just the way that he worded it when they talked about it led me to believe that some of these leagues we're used to having that we really like may be rotated out at certain points, and that's going to upset people. And I kind of hope that that's the case, because it just throws things, and I like it when they throw people, like when they do stuff that we're just not expecting. Just anytime they give me something I wasn't expecting or take away something I'm used to, I'm excited about it because it changes everything.
I'm fine with them removing like the chance to get a breach in the maps as long as we get another way of encountering them, like Sanamod or something like that. That's like the only way I can see them doing it. I don't see them removing them, honestly.
Well, I mean, if they took them out from maps or from the map device, you could still get them in delves, right? There's still breach nodes in delves.
Yeah.
I think I would be fine with them taking out content from what generically can roll, like that you randomly can encounter, and put that into more specific places in the game.
So the one other part of that I wanted to mention was, because it came from when Chris Wilson was speaking about it earlier, he said, and I don't know if it was a joke or not, I hope it was, but he said something about tormented spirits being in a good place and they were really happy with them, and that was not one of the ones that they were going to remove.
Oh, I remember. I even memed about that in chat.
Hey, they can drop maps now, so they're being buffed since 3.5.
They're in a good place.
Yeah.
Are they?
They better be in a good place because they're not moving.
Right? They're just going to stay there wherever they were and then die. Like, they seem like the most pointless of any build mechanic we've got. Like, they don't do anything. They just stand still and then occasionally run at a wall and hit their head. Like, that's their whole job.
Again, they just need to unnerve a specific thing about them, which was ghost busting, and you'd see people again like them.
If they actually had an AI that sent them properly looking for a rare or unique to get into, that would be it. But right now, they're basically nothing.
They're ghosts. Just make them go through walls.
Yeah, but right now what they do is they basically do nothing, and then once in a blue moon during a race, they enter a boss, and it's hilarious because then that boss destroys someone, and that's always great. But then that happens like once every like 8 months or something. Once every 8 months, there's one event of a ghost being impactful in any way.
When they did the first mayhem with the 10 things on the map, and they had 10 tormented spirits, and they would also spawn in the master side areas, like in Torah's Tank 10.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic. I can't believe they took that away. That was so good. All of the clips that you see of people with like, I entered a dank den and it's got 11 ghosts in it. What the hell is going on here?
That's how I got the dank ten rip.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you died from?
It was like fucking 10 ghosts in a row, and just like popped me like.
Just instantly pops around a corner and onto you.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Also, there were an Uber lab trials. I remember not being able to finish one of the trials because of them.
Oh, the invasion room. The 20 invasion mobs in the fucking last room.
That was the best.
Yeah. That was a good day to do lab on.
I just realized we might not get flashbacks anymore. Hey, because I think
Probably
private leagues are kind of taking
filling
that
that
role.
gap, yeah.
So
Well, they literally. I think that topic specifically came up on the last episode, and I dragged out or like found some old line from where was it? I don't know on which public announcement, but they explicitly said that that doesn't mean that they're not doing these leagues anymore, and that they're looking forward to doing them again. I think it's when they announced custom leagues that they were like, yeah, just the introduction of custom leagues doesn't mean we're not doing these fun events anymore. And then they didn't do any of the events anymore.
They also said that they are very, very keen and interested in doing a more racing stuff, and then, well, here we are.
it's the final words, right? Nail in the coffin. It's dead. It's gone. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, voided private leagues is going to be where it's at. That's what I reckon.
No, they can't do it. There's a very good reason why they won't do it, and that is if you have to pay to gain, like if you can pay to gain some kind of advantages, then people will start labeling it as pay to win, because you're paying to get advantage, even if it's going to be harder or something like that, and even if it doesn't go into standard, it's still going to be considered as pay to win.
We're still going to be able to get to the new hard content sooner if you get an advantage in a custom league, right?
Yeah, they're not going to give any advantages in private leagues because of that. I think there was like a post on Reddit about back in the day when that was like a hot topic, and then Chris like responded. That's like a good analysis when somebody was talking about it.
See, I agree with that overall, but I'd love to see them work with people who are doing the races and have like specific events where they let them. So rather than like have like we've got like camels races going on right now, like I'd love to see them working with people to be like, okay, we'll let you host a race that has these flashback mods in it, and it'll all be voided and whatnot, so that we could do specific community races that were in weird, mayhem and flashback style things. Like, I understand not wanting to just hand them out and just be like, all right, anybody can just pay and have whatever, because you'll get used to that level of everything, and then the base game becomes boring and et cetera, et cetera. But I'd love for them to work with racing organizer people and let stuff like that happen occasionally.
And then we get to that only few people, like few selected people, can have access to that, and that's going to be even worse. So I don't think they're going to do that either. As much as I would like to see it, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I think they do, like, they don't mind working with the race organizers though, because I know at least in Camels, well, like I said, with the Ziz League, there's no betrayal on it because that's it, right? They turned that off a week and a half ago, I think, a week ago. But for the camel race, they turned it on. I don't know if you noticed that. So they don't mind helping out the race organizers. I mean, that was a small thing.
I think that doesn't really. I don't think you can compare that honestly, because it was still on the league, so it's not adding advantages. It's just making the league.
Yeah. I mean, if none of that happens, then I still hope that at least occasionally they do actual races with
that would be amazing,
like void things again, because I really just want race seasons like they used to be, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
I want Battle Royale back. If it's just for a weekend, I just want it. Okay.
Oh, that's definitely coming again. We'll get that again.
They're gonna host the Battle Royale at ExileCon, and that's how they're gonna make all the monies. It's every like.
Battle Royale with real money buy-in.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man, I hope they bring it back for April Fools. But
I thought it would be back way sooner.
Exactly, that's what I thought, and that makes me now afraid that they're not even going to bring it back for April Fools. They'll have something else, like another nice little gimmick, something. Maybe not even like an entire game mode, because that was well beyond what I'd expect from an April Fools. I'm worried.
How bad would the April Fools be if they said it was PoE Royale, but the April Fools joke was there's no PoE.
That's one
Never
of those
play
things
PoE again.
That's one of those things that Chris would do, and Bex wouldn't let happen.
Yeah.
Praise Bex.
She'd be like, "Nope, you're not doing that. Do not do that." Like the mirror dropping thing that he wanted to do, that apparently she didn't let him do. I don't know. For anyone who didn't hear about that, Chris wanted to, for April Fools, have a buttload extra mirrors drop, but have them be fake mirrors so that they looked real. They showed up in your loot filter, and then when you picked them up, they disappeared. They just didn't go into your inventory. You'd click it, and it would disappear like you'd picked up loot, and when you opened your inventory, it would not be there.
Insanity mirrors for everyone.
That was the April Fool's joke that he wanted, and apparently he got told, "Are you mental? You are not allowed to do this. People will riot." And I was like, "That's the greatest April Fool's trick ever. That definitely should have happened."
I wonder how long it would have taken people to figure out. It would probably be like on the Reddit 1 or 2 hours in.
It would take a few people, because like before they realized it was a joke. It would take a few people, and it would have been hilarious, and I would have loved it.
Yeah, especially because now that you say it, it would be hard for someone who's the first discoverer. They'd probably doubt their mental powers. They'd be like, "Hey, am I still sane? Did I see a mirror? Was it there?" And they did, unless they were streamers, or did more and more people have NVIDIA Shadow Play or some sort of gameplay recapture, but they wouldn't have anything to show either. So that maybe it would have taken a while for the Reddit posts to pop up. Yeah, Boo. Is there any questions from chat that we have generously ignored? Or any talking points that we still want to go over?
I think we covered pretty much everything.
It's impressive because in the middle of the podcast I was like, "Oh, we're going off topic hard. I don't think we're ever gonna bring it back to the document." But it worked quite nicely.
Also, we've been going for like 3 hours now. It's been a while now.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because that seems to be like the magical spot.
I think I'm good.
And I also wouldn't want to nail you guys here for any longer after you've been obediently sitting in your chairs. Well, everyone except for Karv, who got a little kitchen time. Good. Then, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. It was a blast having you on. I learned a lot about the PoE mechanics and about planning the podcast. And next time you won't get off that easily. Next time I'll have more drilling, pressuring questions about the state of Path of Exile.
Yeah, thanks for having. It was fun.
Yeah, drill me harder next time. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
He's gonna regret asking that next time.
Do you want to quickly tell the guys, if they don't know you, where they can find you and what they can expect from you in terms of PoE content?
Yeah, you can find me at SteelMage 202. I tried to lob the 202 off. They wouldn't let me. And I'll be pushing ladder next league, as always. Pushing ladder.
Sounds good. And Carv, when can we expect your complete, comprehensive layout guide to be done? Is that still happening before the league starts?
No, that's not gonna happen before the league start. But next league, you're gonna see some PS4 ladder pushing at some point from Twitch TV/Spoon, also known as Karvarousku. Yeah, I think me and Camel, I think Dan and Doom are gonna be playing some PS4 at some point. I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks in or something like that to the league.
And you group pushing race like the ladder.
Yeah.
First PS4 Uber Elder.
Is that fair? All the new console people are gonna be like, "Yay, I get to give this game a go." Like 3 really good races is just gonna appear and be like, "I'm up the top. Everyone else is like level 90. Fuck you guys."
Oh god.
That's gonna be hilarious.
Well, there's gonna be links to the broadcasters' channels down below for the people watching from YouTube. Thank you guys all for the live Twitch audience. Thanks for the obligatory subscribe and like if you care to leave that, so I can in the future at some point monetize the content on the channel for amazing advertising gains. Yeah, I think that's it from us, and I'm going to be looking to host someone. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.